So this is the bit where I sing the intro so I know where to do that bit.
Okay.
So, welcome to Nerdschatting.
Yeah, I'm not singing the rest of it.
Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome to Nerdschatting. Movie, TV, comic chat. Thanks for tuning in.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Nerdschatting podcast. My name is Ben and today I am joined by a very special guest. Now, some people may know who you are, some people may not. However, I will explain after you introduce yourself. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Ben.
How are you?
I'm incredibly nervous.
I can tell, and
Yeah.
it's so funny to watch you squirm in your seat.
Yeah, literally.
So this is podcasting, Dave.
Yeah, so I've heard.
So Dave and I have known each other. Okay, so we should reveal right now, if you hadn't known already, that we are actually 40, and we met when we were
13. Yeah, 13. You were
So-
doing your paper round.
So my math makes that around over 20 years that we've known one another.
Yeah.
So we went to school together, we went to college together, we grew up together basically, and now we're recording a podcast together.
Yeah.
But we've recorded things together in the past. We did a Bohemian Rhapsody
We did.
Song.
Didn't
What else
need
did
to
we
mention
do?
that ever.
What else did we
We
do?
did a couple of films, Ben.
We did make a couple of films.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Just another victim.
Let's not talk about them anymore.
Sure, I can find it somewhere. We'll upload it.
Oh, God.
It will not be linked in the end of pod description
No, it
stuff.
will not. Never. Never, ever. I think I still have it actually on videotape somewhere.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But it's
Excellent.
on video.
So anyway, as you can tell, I'm with Dave this week. Nate's still on holiday. James has decided to go away as well. So I'm keeping this train on the tracks. We're rolling on. Dave's with me this week. And we are going to talk about Doctor Who. The best of New Who, I've called it.
Yeah.
So to explain that a little bit more, we're going to talk about our favourite episodes from each of the 4 current Doctors who have had and completed a series of Doctor Who since the show came back in 2005?
2005.
Yes, lovely. See, I knew that.
I know you did, mate. I know you did.
And this has been, we were talking about this in the car on the way here. It's an opportunity for me to talk about something that I love and don't get enough opportunity to talk about because Nate doesn't like David Tennant, although he liked Christopher Eccleston, as I'm sure we'll see in his feedback. And no one else in the podcast likes Doctor Who. So
Fools.
exactly. And finally, the stars have aligned, and here we are talking about it today. But before
Indeed.
that, let's do some broken news.
Excellent.
Broken news. Okay, first bit of news this week. Well, actually, I should say this is broken news. It's news so old, it's not breaking, it's already broken. First bit of news this week. There has been a Star Wars Resistance trailer. And it was
awesome, Benjamin.
all right.
Long-time listeners of the pod will know that Nate goes on at Ben all the time about watching Star Wars Rebels.
And I will get round to it one day.
Yeah, he won't.
Today is not that day.
No, so Rebels finished. Nate and I were very disappointed when Rebels finished. There was a small ceremony. We burnt effigies.
Of who? Of what?
Of the people that finished it.
Right, okay, fine.
But Star Wars Resistance is coming.
Yeah, now I saw the trailer and it's very animated. It looks different to Rebels and
Yeah.
a lot different to Clone Wars.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I've seen a bit of. Not all of it, but a
well
bit.
done, well
I
done.
know, right? I get that. So it's a straight up animated show. It's not CGI. It's or computer generated. It's actual animation.
Absolutely. It made me think of Archer.
Oh,
That
okay.
kind of
Yeah.
cell shading almost,
Oh, very
rather
nice.
than like, you know what I mean.
rather than someone
It's
actually.
not 3D'd.
Yes, it's fine.
That's
yeah.
technical.
So a little bit about Star Wars Resistance. It is okay. Let me read the right bits of the right parts of the stories that I'm trying to read. Okay, so it says apparently some guy found on the actual page. If you go into the actual Star Wars homepage for Resistance and you look at the coding behind the page, there's a bit of spiel about it. So it says the following. Set about 6 months before The Force Awakens, Star Wars Resistance tells the story of, okay, I'm going to butcher this name, and I'm fine with it, Kazuda Xiono, Doesn't matter.
Back yourself.
A young pilot recruited by the... That's very good. A young pilot recruited by the Resistance and tasked with a top-secret mission to spy on the growing threat of the First Order. So it's set before The Force Awakens, about 6 months. And it will... I do believe that the guy who voices Poe Dameron is actually the guy who plays Poe Dameron.
I think it is.
Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
Whatever is Oscar Isaacs.
Poe Dameron.
Yeah,
No, it's called Poe Dameron.
That's correct, yeah. It goes on to say, in the 1 hour premiere, it's pretty good, titled The Recruit, Poe Dameron and BB-8 assign newly appointed spy Kaz to the Colossus, a massive aircraft refueling platform on an outer rim water planet, home to colourful new aliens, droids and creatures. They're going to get their new aliens, droids and creatures in, haven't they?
Merchandise?
Yeah, of course. While undercover, Kaz works as a mechanic and lives with Poe's old friend Jaeger, a veteran pilot. I've probably butchered that name as well. I'm fine with it.
No, I'll go with it.
A veteran pilot who operates a starship repair shop run by his crew, Tam, Niku, and their old battered astromech droid, Bucket. More merchandise?
Yeah.
Kaz soon finds himself in over his head, as they always tend to get, with his new friend BB-8, as he'll have to compete in dangerous sky races, keep his mission a secret from his newfound family, and avoid the danger of the First Order. So, I knew this had been announced. I didn't know I was going to get a trailer, and I didn't realise that it's actually premiering, probably in America, so who knows when it will be over here.
Yeah.
But of course, if they don't give it to us when it comes out, we'll get it in other ways.
Indeed.
On the 7th of October.
Yeah.
That's not very far away at all.
That's like just over a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
So you've been hankering for a Star Wars TV show in your life since Rebels finished
Yes.
of, a month ago, whatever it was?
It was ages ago. It's like 6 months ago.
Okay, fine, 6 months ago, whatever. So Star Wars Resistance, you're very keen for it. Has your son seen the trailer?
No, he hasn't.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't shown it to him.
Are you keeping it from him on purpose?
Yeah, quite possibly. I might just watch it without him.
Oh, you
no, right.
won't do
So,
that. Come on.
With Rebels, okay, I watched it
Yeah.
the second I could get it.
Yeah.
The second it premiered,
Yeah.
I would watch it.
Okay.
And then once I'd watched it, I'd watch it again with Logan.
Right. Fine.
So
Okay.
I'll probably do the same with this.
Logan being the name of your
yes,
son.
Absolutely.
Course,
No, I watched it with Wolverine.
With Wolverine, yeah.
I'll watch it, and again, I'll watch it the second time through because you miss stuff. The thing with Star Wars, whatever Star Wars,
Yes.
is there's always more.
Yes.
The second time you watch it, you go, oh, I didn't see that. The
Yeah.
third time you watch it, you go, oh my God, I didn't see that either.
Yeah. So,
So-
you get more with repeat
Yeah,
viewings.
so it gives me an excuse to watch it twice.
Okay, very good. So as I said, yeah, Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma.
Yeah.
Interesting. Then other people as other guys.
So-
The names I've butchered. There's no one in here. Oh, Donald Faison as Hype Fazon.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah,
I reckon we'll get more Phasma. So I think you recently read the Phasma comics.
I did.
And said, we need more of this. We need more of her. We need more.
This
Well,
could be-
Benjamin, here is your chance.
This could be where we
for
get
you
it,
not
yeah.
to bother watching it.
Well, do you know what? I probably will watch this because this ties in very closely to the films that are currently the active Star Wars trilogy.
Okay.
So I'll probably try and get my hands on this and watch this.
And you're not like 3 series behind straight away.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
I'm right there on the ground floor.
Yeah,
so,
I like
okay, I'm excited for this. Yeah, let us know what you guys think, if you're excited or not. Or if you're never going to watch anything to do with Star Wars again, if you didn't like The Force Awakens. No? The other one.
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, who's a Dark Jedi.
Who
Maybe
isn't?
he's not a Dark Jedi, maybe
And
he's the
wasn't
dead
the
Jedi.
Last Jedi.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, next bit of news. I've put this in. It could be rubbish, but apparently maybe Doctor Strange 2, the second Doctor Strange, will start filming in the spring of 2019. So says someone.
Yeah.
It's a rumour.
It was one of those stories, Ben, that I read it and went...
It's a nothing story.
There's no story there, actually.
So apparently, recently, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige recently confirmed a sequel to the 2016 Doctor Strange is indeed on the cards. And a report surfaced recently over the weekend pointing to a Phase 4 film going in front of the camera. It's a lot of next summer in the United Kingdom. And of course, currently the United Kingdom is where another Marvel/Sony film is being filmed. We'll get on to that in a minute. But yeah, so Doctor Strange 2, happy for that one? The first one made almost 700 million.
I love Doctor Strange. I thought it was brilliant. I still think they should have cast me, but fine.
Unfortunately, I do not think you are known well enough internationally, David.
That's not my problem. That's their problem.
True. This is true.
I sent them a picture.
Yes.
They didn't take it.
No.
No, I think Doctor Strange 2 will be great. What I don't like is they're giving these little snippets going, oh, this is coming. Doesn't that tell us a little bit more about the next Avengers film than we need to know?
Yes, but they are in this day and age. I do completely agree with what you're saying there, because we found out about Spider-Man Homecoming 2. He's away somewhere.
Yep.
And I was like, well, you didn't need to tell us that was filming. Don't film that one yet. Film something else. The thing is, though, is it's kind of difficult for them to do that.
Yeah, they've got to film
We live
something.
in the 21st century. They've got to put a film out, and you can't stop people taking pictures in 2018.
No.
You just can't.
It's just, they did this whole thing of we can't reveal the titles of Phase 4 because it will give too much away and we don't want to do that. By the way, we're filming these.
Yeah,
like,
all these films are being filmed, though.
Yeah,
so,
it's like, well,
yeah.
they're not the titles, but it still gives it away.
So I wonder if Doctor Strange 2, I wonder why they can't give away the title of the Phase 4 film, Doctor Strange 2, He's Still Strange Wearing a Cloak. Because what will that reveal about Infinity War 2, Avengers 4? So many titles.
Doctor
God.
Strange 2, The Missing Leg.
Yes.
Maybe that was it.
Okay, so let's look at their upcoming schedule. So they've got Captain Marvel in March.
Yeah.
They've got Avengers 4, Infinity War Part 2, maybe not Infinity War Part 2,
No.
whatever, in
That
May?
month. Yeah, go
Could
with
be
it.
May.
Yeah.
And then they're going to start filming Doctor Strange 2 after that. But on the next bit of news, going on from that, Spider-Man Far From Home, apparently is his title, will be released in July 2019.
Yeah.
So that is the next Marvel movie. That was actually tweeted by Sony
Yes, it was.
last night. It was just a picture of the title, Spider-Man Far From Home, and then July 2019, and a little spider emoji.
Yeah.
Great.
He's not in Kansas anymore.
He's not in Kansas anymore.
That's what I assume it means.
Or New York City. I don't know. I guess Far From Home, there's...
Is he stuck in space?
Well, he could be. And the last time we saw him, he was on... Where was he? Titan. And he was being swept up into a dustpan. And,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, okay, fine. The next film's coming out July next year. Those are our 3 Marvel movies next year, I guess. Although, maybe they might sneak in another one because... Maybe this is Marvel / Sony, not just Marvel.
Yep.
Who knows? So next year, we're definitely going to get Captain Marvel, Avengers 4, and Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, Part 2.
Thing.
Whatever.
Are all the Spider-Man films going to have home in the title?
Possibly for the trilogy
That's what I'm thinking.
that they've agreed to do with Marvel, and then who knows?
So I reckon I'm going to say it now. You heard it here first.
Okay.
Spider-Man Back Home. That's it.
Yeah, you're probably right. You are probably right. That's very good. Very good. Okay, next bit of news. That was a little bit of nothing. HBO has looked at the pilot that Damon Lindelof did for the Watchmen TV show, and they've gone, brilliant. We like that. We'll take a series, please. Thank you very much. So it's on its way. Now, what do you know about this?
So they've said that it's not going to be like they're not going to follow the
They're not going to remake
book.
the comic.
Yeah,
they're not.
and
They're not
going to remake the film.
No.
So
no.
how do you make it? This is Watchmen, without it being Watchmen.
So, from what I understand, they will be setting it in the universe after the events of what's his face, Ozymandias.
Right.
But I believe it's following on from the comic book and not the movie.
Okay.
So it's following on from the events of what happened in the comic,
Right.
which I don't know if you've read or not.
Not recently.
I assume you've seen the film.
I've seen the film. I've read the comic, but
Okay.
I couldn't tell you the difference at the end.
So at the end of the film,
Yeah.
it's like a Dr. Manhattan's sort of look-alike explosion which wipes out millions of people
Yes.
in certain parts of the world.
Yes.
In the comic, they fake an alien invasion and people's minds just explode when this thing shows up.
Oh.
And everyone was like, hey, we've got to pull together to, not be dicks. And that's kind of the
Okay.
comic. So the comic is a masterpiece. It
Yes.
really is.
Yeah, it is.
It's, I have to say, I was talking to Harvey about this recently. He can't get into it because it does look, when you look at it now, very 80s.
It does.
He cannot get into it because it doesn't have the up-to-date aesthetic of a comic book now.
Yeah, okay. I can understand that.
But I have said, well, look, don't push it. If you're not enjoying it, just put it down and not worry about it.
Don't
Maybe
go,
and watch
don't
the
go
film.
crisis of
Exactly.
infinite boredom.
If it doesn't, it's your life is not going to be affected completely if you don't read the Watchmen comic book. At the same time, I think if you powered through, you might really, really enjoy it. But
Yeah, I think you might be right.
It's up to him. So anyway, the TV show.
Yes.
Right now, what did Damon Lindelof say? He said, he said that the comic book was sacred, and those issues are sacred ground, and they will not be retread, nor recreated, nor reproduced, and nor rebooted. They will, however, be remixed. So
It's just like what he's basically said is we're not going to redo it. We're not going to redo it. We're not going to redo it.
But we're going to
redo
with it a bit.
Yeah, we're going to redo it.
So I don't know what that means, but I guess we'll find out in 2019 because that is apparently when the show is coming. The all-star cast includes Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, see, I'm keen for that. What I was trying to do when I was reading the cast list,
Yes.
was trying to figure out who. But it's not going to be them.
No,
is it?
it's not going to be. It's not following on. They're not playing like Dr. Manhattan and Ozymandias and Night Owl 2. They're going to be playing different characters, maybe policemen in a city in the Watchmen world.
Is this not just another example of Krypton or Gotham or... Do you know what I mean? So it's not a prequel. Fair play, they haven't gone prequel. But is it not just, here's a world that everybody loves, let's make something in it?
Well, I would agree with you completely if it wasn't being done by HBO.
Yeah, okay.
And HBO make...
Dungeons and Dragons porn.
Yes, they
Yes,
do
they
make
make
Game of
that.
Thrones.
Yep.
And they also made things like The Wire and The Sopranos,
Yeah.
all of which changed
didn't
the
like.
world of television.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that whatever we get out of this could... Oh, and of course, Westworld.
All right, I like that.
Yeah. So, they could make something here with a product or with something that people absolutely adore anyway, and all they do is they expand upon it and open it up for new people who may not have even heard that Watchmen was a comic book and not a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, all right.
So there you go.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it. It's coming in 2019, and it's starring, like I said, Jeremy Irons, Regina King, Don Johnson from Miami Vice. It's amazing.
I hope he's dressed the same.
Tim Blake Nelson, who was in The Incredible Hulk, and he was going to be the leader. His brain was going to get big.
Yeah.
Lewis Gossett Jr. You remember him?
Which guy's he?
He was the drill sergeant in Officer and a Gentleman. He was a boxer
Was he
in that
really?
film where the guy had to beat 10 guys in one day.
Yes.
Or 12 guys in one day or something. Plus there are other people in. I don't know who they are. But great.
Cool.
Yeah, coming next year, I'll be on board. I'll watch that. It'll be better.
Look.
I'll say it now. It'll be better than Watchmen. No, that's wrong. That's
Oh,
not what I meant.
That's controversial.
It'll be better than Westworld.
Oh,
Yes, it will.
No.
Yes, it will.
No.
Right, next
Having
bit of
none of
news. Next bit of news. Chris Pine is going to play Robert the Bruce in a new Netflix movie called The Outlaw King. Now, I saw the trailer for this because at first I was like, whatever.
Yep.
Did you watch the trailer?
I watched a bit of the trailer.
Did it look good?
Do you want my honest answer?
If I'm honest with you, no. Not
Okay,
from the
cool.
way this conversation's going.
So look,
Okay, go on, go ahead.
I thought it looked a little bit like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yes. I worried about that at first as well because I didn't hear Chris Pine talk for a bit.
No.
And then I did, and I thought, it's not a terrible Scottish accent. I
Look,
can go with it.
On our way to record the pod, I did say to Ben that I may end up doing a really bad Scottish accent in this.
Yeah, you
and
may.
this is why. I would rather have him doing Billy Connolly than that.
Oh, no,
But-
not Billy
but-
Connolly, no.
Yeah, it'd be all right.
No,
I reckon it'd
not-
be fine.
Not the big yid.
Billy
That's
Connolly could do it.
Too good.
I'm
Big
Robert
yid,
the
big yid,
Bruce.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yid
he's not the
might be
big
a bit-
yid. That's
Big
that's
yid might
something
be a bit
else.
of a racist term
Yeah,
I just said there.
Don't do that one.
I'll cut that out.
You won't cut that out.
Anyway, right, the film centres around the historical figure Robert the Bruce. After
Yeah.
claiming the throne of Scotland in the 1300s, Robert is declared an outlaw by the King of England and forced to go on the run. He eventually rallies a force to fight back against the English in an attempt to reclaim his homeland, igniting a bloody and all-consuming civil war. So this is Netflix trying to do something Game of Thronesy without dragons. Plus, the King of England is played by Stephen Delaney, who played Stannis Baratheon in Game of Thrones, and was brilliant. So I'm on board. I'll probably check this out. It's a Netflix movie.
Don't get me wrong, I will check it out.
It's a Netflix movie, so straight on I'm a little bit, what's it going to be like? Because
What was that one with Will Smith?
Bright.
Yeah,
That's not a great film.
I'm saying.
Not terrible. Not great.
What's this called? Bright!
It's not called Bright. It's called... Why can't I see his name? Outlaw King.
Outlaw King!
And of course, it's possibly treading or retreading some characters that were made popular in the 1990s movie Braveheart.
Yes.
But of course, William Wallace and Robert the Bruce, I think, were separated by about at least 100 years of actual historical history.
But there will be people with blue faces
and they'll be wearing kilts and flashing their junk,
shouting, "You can't take our freedom!" Or
cutting off
something.
people's heads and all sorts. Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to premiere actually at the Toronto International Film Festival next month, and it arrives on Netflix in November when it's dark and it's raining and it's early nights and people are like, let's watch something on TV. There you go. They'll watch The Outlaw King with Chris Pine.
I think that's the draw.
Chris Pine.
Yeah.
He's very dreamy, isn't he?
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Right.
But he is.
I'm gonna skip this around a little bit here, Dave, because we've landed on Netflix soon. But you brought something to the table today, and that is that apparently Netflix is making a big change that will interrupt binge watching marathons.
Yeah. So
over to you.
This appeared on my Google newsfeed. Other news feeds are available. So
fine.
I don't think Google are going to pay me for saying their name.
No, I don't think they will.
So yeah, it came up on my newsfeed. Netflix are changing the way they're doing their business, and I was like, "Oh, let's have a look."
So normally when they do that, it means the price is going up.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. I thought I'm going to be paying an extra 50p a month.
Sure.
God damn it! But no,
Netflix.
Worse than that. So Netflix are going to, and they're saying this is for binge watchers. So if you're watching a series and you're sat and you're doing what I do, where you put on one of those lovely Marvel Netflix series that everybody on the pod hates now, and you press play.
That's not true. I really liked what was the last one? The one with not the last one. I didn't watch the last one. The last one.
You
was
didn't
Luke
watch
Cage.
any of them.
What was the one? The Punisher. I really like the Punisher.
I haven't watched Punisher. It's the one that I didn't get into. But there you go. So you sit down, you put it on, you press play, and you sit and you watch 150 episodes in a row.
Yes.
But this is saying that between episodes, they're going to have targeted adverts. So in the release I read, it talked about actually advertising other Netflix things initially. So you're watching Marvel's Jessica Jones. You may also like Marvel's Iron Fist. Kind of thing.
Right.
Which I get.
As long as the algorithm is that simple, because if it starts suggesting some of the things that it has suggested to me, I watch Marvel's Jessica Jones, therefore I might like Cars 3, then I'm going to punch it in its face.
They're very similar.
Okay,
very
fine.
similar.
I've not seen Cars 3.
Strong female leads in both.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's how it says it's going to start. But the internet went nuts about it.
Yeah.
Saying, well, if they started with that, it's going to end up being, well, actually, in between episodes is fine. How about halfway through an episode, we chuck in a little advert for Kellogg's cornflakes? Other breakfast cereals are available.
Like what, Dave? Like a Weetabix?
Well, yeah.
Like a bran flake?
Well, like
a porridge?
Well, I was thinking like bacon, to be honest, which
Bacon's
isn't a cereal, but it will do me. And then if it goes to halfway through, will we end up with the equivalent of commercial TV, where every 15 minutes you get a 3-minute interruption whilst they tell you to watch something, buy something, go and do something, insure something, claim back the insurance you took on something.
It feels like a slippery slope, doesn't it? It really
absolutely.
does.
And it really worries me.
There are a couple of things that I'll be okay with if they introduce the following control measures. Number one, it only plays after I've watched the program that I'm watching, like the end credits are finished, and then it plays. If like two characters are about to get into a very intense argument or conversation or fight, and suddenly an advert for Cars 3 pops up, I'm going to throw my TV out the window. If it starts advertising Persil, or, I'm not even going to say about other washing powders. They're available, but who cares?
Yep, fair
if
play.
it starts advertising other commercially available things,
Yep.
then I'm going to cancel my Netflix subscription.
Yeah.
Because they have all the money in the world.
They do.
I shall also say, if they give you the option to skip the ad after 5 seconds, fine.
So they now give you the option, don't they? And they have done for a while, but of skipping the intro. So when you're watching...
Yeah, but...
you're watching...
People who do that are monsters, Dave.
No. Well, I do that.
You're a monster. What
I-
do you skip the intro of?
Shall I actually tell you? Pokemon XYZ, which I'm currently watching.
I've not seen that.
With my kids. But the bloody music is a nightmare.
It's like an earworm, is it?
No, it's just awful.
Oh, okay.
It's not. It doesn't stick in your head. You just want to take your head off when it plays. So skip intro is a lifesaver on that.
Well, okay. I'd say I'd argue for some things. It's nice to watch.
And I'll be honest,
the intro.
Yeah, I still
Some
skip
things.
it. I skipped it on Discovery. But you get the recap, then you can skip the intro, then you get the thing. So you just miss the music.
But I really like this
I
Discovery
like
intro.
the music too, but I don't need to listen to it every 46 minutes.
Okay, let's find out how much of a monster you really are. Did you watch any of Star Trek when it came on Netflix?
No.
Like The Next Generation or anything like that?
No.
Okay, fine.
Actually, that's a lie. I watched some, but it wasn't...
Did you skip the intro?
No.
You're a monster! You are history's second greatest monster after Nathan.
I didn't need to watch the intro. I know that... I've seen that. I wanted to watch the episode.
I sit here beside myself twice. I cannot believe that. Okay,
I'm a
fine.
monster.
So
All right, I'll take
Netflix is making a big change. It might interrupt my binge viewing of Orange is the New Black.
Look,
maybe.
so people like your daughter,
Yes.
who constantly posts all over social media that she can't wait for the next series of Orange is the New Black.
Apparently she's not got into this one very much.
Okay.
Well, there you
But
go.
she tends to sit and watch. She'll put watching, and Bash on
Oh, yeah.
Twitter is always
Yeah.
binge watching, blah.
Yeah.
That's when it gets really frustrating because you know that you've got a finite time.
Yes.
Say you've got 6 hours to binge watch. That's a massive binge watch session.
It's still a very big
But-
one, yeah.
But if you know that you're going to fit X number of episodes into that, but then adverts kick in, actually that's one episode less you're going to watch. Mm-hmm. If it's an eight
that's
episode
true.
run, you might not get to watch all 8 episodes in the time you have available. Will you come back to it?
Well, let's
Did
hope they
Nate
give us...
ever go back to Luke Cage?
No,
No.
never. And I didn't either. And I didn't even watch any of season 2.
I haven't watched season 2 yet. I will be watching it.
Did you watch the Kung Fu Boy, I've Got an Iron Fist?
Iron Fist, watched all of Iron Fist.
Did you watch the season 2 trailer?
Yeah, I love that. I like the glowing hand. When I went camping at the weekend,
Sure.
I got the really powerful torch we had, held it in my hand, and I had the Iron Fist. It was amazing.
So his friend, who was also maybe going to be up for the Iron Fist,
Actually, that's the fist I had.
he's got a red Iron Fist.
Yes.
Does that mean that our Iron Fist is going to have 2 Iron Fists?
Because
he's only got one at the
I doubt
moment.
that's going to happen season 2.
Could do. We'll see. Right, anyway, enough of that. Next
Yes.
bit of news. This is, actually for us, this is relatively broken news. It was announced last night that Danny Boyle has left the production of Bond 25. That's the code name for the next James Bond film that hasn't been made yet.
Bond does Dallas.
Now, let me read out the exact words of the tweet. It came from the @007 Twitter account, and it said the following: Michael G. Wilson, Barbara Broccoli, and Daniel Craig today announced that due to creative differences, Danny Boyle has decided to no longer direct Bond 25. Now, I read that as he's gone, I want to do this. They've gone, we don't really want you to do that. And he's gone, well, if I don't get to do that, I'm going to leave. They've said, okay. And he's gone, bye then. And he's walked away.
Yep.
So they haven't fired him.
Nope.
They've said, can you do something or not do something? And he said, fuck that, and walked.
I find it really interesting that Daniel Craig is on that.
Well, he's a producer now, isn't he? Or an executive producer.
But
he gets money from the films.
How much power does he have
Apparently,
that he's announcing it?
Quite a bit.
Do you think he had any influence on the I don't want to do that? Danny Boyle saying, I do want you to do that. That's how I read it, with the word Daniel Craig when it was on that release.
Listen, when you heard that Danny Boyle bearing in mind you've seen some incredible Danny Boyle films. We grew up
Yes.
in the 90s watching some of his
Yes.
movies. When you heard he was going to direct the next Bond film, what was your instant reaction?
Amazing.
I was so excited.
Yep.
And I still say that the greatest Bond film that we never really got was at the start of the 2012 Olympics.
Yes.
When Daniel Craig's James Bond was escorting the Queen to
Yep.
the opening ceremony. She jumped out of a helicopter.
Yeah, well, the
that
thing
was
is,
all directed by Danny Boyle.
It was. And like that bit where they got the Queen involved,
Yeah.
how they managed to pull that.
She's the Queen, it's the Olympics, it's a kind of a big deal. I don't know.
But still, she's the Queen.
She is, you're right.
But if they could have got her into a Bond film, like, do you know what I mean? Just repeat that same bit where he's escorting her down the corridor.
That's like the pre-credit scene or something
yeah,
like that.
like he escorts her down the corridor. It doesn't have to be like
I'd
she
watch that.
parachutes.
I'd watch
But
that.
that would just be brilliant. But I think that a big part of the Queen agreeing to be involved was the whole of the Olympic opening ceremony, and that was Danny Boyle.
That was, yeah, it
So,
was.
you know, I think Danny Boyle leaving's a great loss. But they've not announced anyone replacing him yet.
No.
Well, at the time of recording.
And the script that they had, they did have a script for Bond 25 that was going to be, that had been done by the same people who wrote Casino Royale and Skyfall and Spectre.
Yep.
Not the stupid one with water in the desert in Bolivia, wherever it is, Quantum of Wank, because it's wank. But they binned that script when Danny Boyle showed a bit of interest, and he and John Hodge, who have done a lot of the films and written the scripts for a lot of his films, Danny Boyle's films, they did their own script. The producers liked it, and that's what they were going to film, and it was due to be released in November, on the November the 8th, 2019.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know if they're going to go back to the script that the other guys had written, if they're going to stick with Daniel Boyle's script, if he takes that with him, I don't know. What I do know is they're probably not going to, unless they announce someone within the next month, they're not going to hit that deadline.
Absolutely not.
And that is a real shame, I think. A real shame. Because I like a Bond film. I really want Daniel Craig to go out on top. So I want you now to give me your replacement director for Bond 25. And I want you to think outside the box.
Villeneuve.
That is a fantastic idea.
See,
But he's just about to start filming the new Dune film, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure he can put that back.
Okay.
Sandcastles 2 or whatever it's called.
Millions
He
of
might
dollars
move on.
lost. Yeah.
But he'd be brilliant.
He would
You
give
think-
us an
you think
interesting
Sicario?
Bond film. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It might have a lot of sweeping, like, scenes, like in Arrival, where it's just one nice long shot and nothing's happening. That might be the only downside of him doing it, but I would love him to do a Bond film.
So I've got a crazy idea. When they talked about making Casino Royale years ago,
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino chirped up and said,
Oh, no.
I'd love to do a really nasty remake of the film that I just said, Casino Royale,
Yeah.
with Pierce Brosnan as Bond one last time. This is going to be Daniel Craig's one last time. Give him Danny Boyle's script. Let him polish it a little bit in his own way. Doesn't have to be everyone's a motherfucker and saying racially nasty words that Quentin Tarantino's characters sometimes say. Give him a Bond film. I reckon we'd probably get one of the best Bond films we've ever seen.
I reckon we'd get a fantastic Bourne film.
Okay, fair enough.
It wouldn't be Bond. If Tarantino did it, it wouldn't be Bond. It would be brilliant. It wouldn't be Bond.
Just imagine, of all the scripts that he's written,
Yeah.
they're very much of a particular way. The one script that was based on a story that he did the script for, but the story had already been done,
Yep.
is Jackie Brown.
Yep.
That's a great film.
It's a great film.
Imagine that the story's already there with what Danny Boyle's done. He puts his Tarantino slant on it and then gives us
Are
a
you
Bond
thinking
film
like
in
that,
the vein of Jackie
that
Brown.
episode of ER he directed?
Where,
Where someone wrote it for him. No, to be fair though, it was one of the best episodes of ER.
I really don't remember it.
Okay, so I've literally pulled something out of 1997 there. But
I remember two characters walking down the hallway of a hospital wearing sunglasses.
yeah,
That's
but,
about all I remember.
But it was ER as we know it, but with enough elements that you go, that was Tarantino. Oh, that was Tarantino. But I like that, and it was still ER.
Well, do you know what? Well, anyway, the story is Daniel Boyle's gone. I think if they don't announce someone soon, they're definitely going to miss that day.
They
And
will.
potentially Daniel Craig could walk away and never make another Bond film, and they recast. And it might be Idris Elba, or that's bullshit and it's someone else.
I think that's BS. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that is the end of the broken news. How are you feeling? Still feeling nervous? You feeling
No,
okay?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yeah, you've
My
settled in
mouth's a
pretty
little
well.
bit dry, if I'm honest. I
you want-
didn't bring any kind of drink.
Do you want to stop and get some water?
How will the people know that we've stopped to get water?
They won't. See, no one suspected a thing.
No.
Right, that was the end of the broken news. Now we're going to do a bit of nerd scene. Nerd scene. So, Dave, nerd scene. I've got a couple of things on here. You've got a couple of things on here, and I will explain to everyone what nerd scene is. Nerd scene is nerd scene, spelled S-C-E-N-E, but it's a play on the words scene, as in something that I have seen, spelled S-E-E-N. You get it. You're shaking your head. I know you understand. So I've got 3 things here. You've got 2 things. So I'll go and
Yep.
you'll bookend. There we
Cool.
go. So I read issue 3 of The Magic Order, which is Mark Millar's latest comic book. Have you seen this?
I've seen the front covers. I've not picked it up.
The last front cover was really weird and sort of a bit sexy, but a bit odd as well.
I love the fact that you called it sexy bum.
Yeah, well, it was multiple people wearing what I can only call gimp masks, sort of making out with each other.
Yeah.
Weird.
And
Anyway.
see, that's what I mean about. I love the fact that you called that sexy.
Yeah, I know. Something's wrong with me. It's really warm in here, isn't it?
It is. That's
Like
what I
it's
wanted,
suddenly
water.
it's got really warm in here. Hang on, there's a bit of paper here. I'm going to fan myself. Right, anyway, so I read that. I really enjoyed it. It's only 6 issues, and there's obviously an awful lot of backstory to all these characters, and I want to know everything about it. So I tweeted them,
You did. I saw it.
and I included the hashtag the Magic Order, and they said in the back of the comic book, if you did that, your question may appear in future comics. So I'm hoping it does. And I asked if we were going to be getting anything, and they liked the tweet. They didn't reply.
Well, that doesn't
God
help
damn
you,
it.
does it?
That doesn't help me.
No.
So maybe they'll reply if they put it in the comic book. Who knows? But it's very good. And obviously Netflix bought Miller World Comics.
Yes.
Which is Mark Millar's imprint on Image.
Yeah.
And they're all brilliant, and they're all probably going to be made into TV shows, and I'm okay with that.
Yep.
It's great. I recommend it. Tell me about Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
Right. So, I saw this comic years ago. 2 years ago.
You've
this came out.
you've gone on at me so many times to read this.
Yeah.
I
So,
never will.
No, I know. Like your reading list is still massive because
Sure.
you keep adding to it.
Yes, I
so
do, I
Scooby
do.
Apocalypse, we're issue 27.
Scooby or Scooby-Doo?
Scooby Apocalypse. It might be Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. Do you know? I don't know. I could look that up, but I'm not going to.
Nothing exists in which you can check
No.
it.
So issue 27, spoilers, major spoilers.
Okay.
Fred's dead. Yeah.
What, did he die in this comic?
He died like 2 issues ago.
Oh my
So we're still
God.
dealing with the fallout of that. And Scrappy Doo has just turned up. He's not the little tiny person you remember from the TV series. It's weird that I really like this.
Yeah.
It was meant to be 12 issues.
Right.
A 12-issue contained story. That I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll subscribe to that, no probs. 27 issues in, and I'm like, ooh,
That's impressive.
what's happening next?
So Fred died. How did
Yeah.
Fred die? Did a ghost kill him?
Fred died protecting Daphne,
Oh.
as you would expect.
Yeah.
He actually died proposing. So,
What? So hang on. Okay. So,
so-
Fred died protecting Daphne, and he did it whilst proposing. So what did he do? Kill himself so she didn't have to
No,
say yes.
so no. Basically, the whole premise of this isn't like Scooby the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The end of the world has happened through a nanite infestation
Oh wow.
caused by Velma's brothers, the Dinkleys,
Right. I don't like
in
them.
their secret lab. The nanites were meant to do one thing, they've done something else. And basically they've turned humanity into monsters. So it's not
Right.
people wearing masks that could have got away with it too if it wasn't for those pesky kids.
Yeah.
It's humanity have become monsters. There are a few survivors, a ragtag bunch. It's very Walking Dead in that respect.
So they've like Rick and Morty Cronenberg the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
They are currently hauled up in a shopping mall where they're living with a group of other survivors. They're protecting each other. They're defending. Like, there's two bands of monsters that live in different shopping outlets within the mall that are attacking each other. And because they're attacking each other, the crew are okay. They're doing all right. But they were being attacked.
Is it scary?
It can be. There were a couple of moments where I was like, like proper, like reading Walking Dead comics moments. Yeah. But they'd just been under attack. Fred had just saved Daphne.
Right.
He spent 27 or 24 issues basically proposing to Daphne and her telling him to piss off.
Right.
It's like an
post-apocalyptic world,
ongoing joke that literally she still won't take him and there's next to no men left on the planet.
Right.
He saves her. You see her heart melt. She pulls the face that everybody knows as being the face where she's going to say yes. He proposes. She says, "Oh, Fred," and then he dies. A horrific, terrible death.
Is it bloody?
Yes.
This must be a Teen Plus sort of comic.
Yeah, it's definitely Teen Plus.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I might want to read
this.
this.
It's good.
Maybe I might want to.
But yeah, it's just that. It's ongoing. It's one of those. If they made it into a program, and called it The Walking Dog, you'd watch it.
Nice.
Yeah. If
probably
HBO had made this, you'd be going, "It's the best thing ever, Dave." But because it's got Scooby Doo at the front of it, you're like, "Yeah, I don't know."
So, are they working on trying to reverse what has happened?
They had been,
right,
but Velma is currently having a crisis of confidence. Doesn't believe she can do it because, she's been trying for 27 episodes.
Let me ask you one question.
Yep.
With the use of this technology they've developed, has anyone at any time ever recovered from a serious life-threatening injury or been brought back from the dead?
No.
So Fred's actually dead?
Fred's actually dead.
Oh my God.
I know, they killed off a main cast member, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It was shocking. There you go.
Maybe I'll pick up a trade once I've cleared my reading list backlog.
Yeah, so in 2022.
No, the plan is to get that done by the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, trust me.
Best laid plans.
It'll probably not happen. Anyway, okay, I'm going to move on. So this isn't very nerdy. I won't spend too much time on this. And I don't really like golf. However, I really like the Ryder Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2012, I think, Europe were the reigning champions of the Ryder Cup. So the Ryder Cup is where players from Europe play players from America, and they play over 3 days. And if you win a match, you get points. If you draw a match, you halve the whole. And it's the most, whoever wins the most points, or like 15 points, wins the Ryder Cup. And hey, everyone's great, and everyone gets drunk.
Excellent context.
Thank you. So in 2012, in Medina, which is near Chicago, I think, in America.
Yep.
America were absolutely battering Europe. Do you remember this?
I remember this.
Of course
I watched it.
Yeah. We were absolutely... The first day, they swept the board pretty much. The Saturday, the second day, they were blowing us away. And if they won the last game of the day, they pretty much had to win like 3 games on the Sunday, and they would have won the Ryder Cup back.
Yep.
And we turned it around, and we won. And it's been called The Miracle in Medina, and it's brilliant.
So where were you watching it?
At home. It's on Sky. You can download it on the Sky Sports Golf channel because it's about to be the Ryder Cup again next week.
Gotcha.
No, next month. And the thing that I really like about it is both of the Europe and the American teams. I'm mansplaining this to you, but
go ahead.
So I'm explaining it to people who maybe don't know. Each of the European and American teams, they have a non-playing captain who used to play golf.
Yep.
Now, Europe had Jose Maria Olazabal.
Nice.
Thank you. Anyone who speaks Spanish, I'm so sorry I butchered that bad, but that's it's Jose Maria Olazabal, but it's not, it's Olazabal. Yeah. And he was great friends with Seve Ballesteros, who was a former Ryder Cup player for Europe, former captain, and he died in 2011.
Yep.
Now, all the European team all had like an emblem of Seve on all of their gear. They all wore the same clothes, and it was all sort of like a modern take on an outfit that Seve wore in the past. And they won it. And at the end, Jose Maria Olazabal says to the camera, we won this for Sevi, we won it for him, and he kind of covers his face because he's crying. And honestly, now I'm talking about it, I'm getting chills because it was one of those in sport. Sport gives you those beautiful moments every now and then, and this was one of the most beautiful moments. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I remember watching it.
It was great.
It was
I do
great.
as well. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm envious of you watching that again. To be honest, I don't have
I just hit the microphone there like a complete amateur.
I haven't hit mine yet.
No,
I haven't kicked the table either.
No, well done,
Yeah.
well done. No, it's available to download on Sky Sports.
I
Golf.
don't have Sky. I've
Do you
still
not?
got Virgin Media.
Get in the bin, mate. What are you doing? Anyway, it's great. And if you don't know anything about it, I encourage you to look it up on YouTube because it's great fun.
Excellent.
Anyway, what else have you got, Dave?
So I watched The Flash season. I can't remember from the Arrowverse. It's the newest one. I don't care what season it is anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Is
decided
he still the fastest man on the planet, but actually there's someone else who's faster than him?
pretty much.
Thought so.
So I decided that I wasn't going to watch it anymore.
Right.
But I left it to record on my generic recording device.
Okay.
And had, I think it's like 26 episodes or something long.
Oh my God.
Along with, I'll be honest, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and
Have you
Arrow.
binned all of it?
I decided I was going to bin all of it.
Okay.
I then sat and watched all of Supergirl,
Wow.
which I still like. And
Is
then
it
I
just
watched...
because you really like the girl the lady who plays Supergirl? You can tell the truth on this
No,
podcast.
it's like genuinely, no.
It's genuinely really good.
I think
Okay.
it's really good.
Fine.
Then I thought, well, if that was still good, maybe I'll watch something else. So I watched Legends of Tomorrow, which is, how did Nate phrase something once? Just the right side of shit, I think is how he phrased it.
I think that's technically how he phrased Arrow.
Yes,
but
it's
fine.
from the same universe.
Yeah.
It was good. Wally West suddenly was in that. So I was like, he was quite good in that.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I'll watch Flash then. So I binge watched Flash over 2 days.
So the latest season was season 4.
There
apparently.
you go. 27 episodes, I want to say it was. Something like that. I watched it over 2 days.
How?
Like, I watched it.
Okay, fine.
You can fast
right.
forward adverts.
Yeah, you can.
You don't have to watch the intro, it turns out, Ben. I am Barry Allen. I'm currently the fastest man alive for this episode. And then not in the next. But it was brilliant. It really was brilliant. So this series, they didn't have the bad guy that was faster than him.
Oh, they didn't?
No.
Ah.
They had a guy called Professor DeVoe who was the greatest intellect. He was referred to as the thinker. And this guy could predict what people were going to do.
Right.
In advance.
Okay.
And he'd set up a whole chain of events to make him even better than he currently was, to give him an ultimate end game, which was called the Enlightenment.
Right.
And the whole season was about them stopping it happening.
Okay. But he'd already outthought them.
Pretty much. Every episode where you'd go, yes! No! Would be the very next thing you'd say, because he'd have thought of it. And it was genuinely some of the best Flash that there has been.
Really?
And it didn't rely so heavily on Bad Guy of the Week.
Okay, that's a positive, because that used to wind me up massively.
So this was one ongoing story that ran from start to finish. It still had the bad guys interspersed, but they played a part in the overall story arc. So it worked.
Okay.
DeVoe had set up that these people would become the meta-humans that they were, so that he could...
so they were part of his machinations.
Yeah, exactly. There are
Very good.
major spoilers here, by the way. Should have said that at the start.
That's fine.
But yeah, so bad guys of the week, in inverted commas, would be a bit of what DeVoe had done. So he's put in a guy that goes nuclear.
Okay. I'm just looking at bits of season 4. Did
Go
it
on.
end on a massive cliffhanger?
Not a massive cliffhanger, but there is the very. I mean, this is. Do you really want me to talk about the very final thing that happened in the very final episode?
Do it, mate. Do it.
Okay, so they're all sat round celebrating the fact that
Spoilers, obviously, but
huge
go ahead.
spoilers, that Barry and Iris's dad, even though they're a couple, that's still weird for me.
Joe?
Yeah, Joe West.
Yeah.
Has just had his baby daughter. Everyone's very happy about this.
Right.
Lovely. They're all sat there. Iris turns to Barry and says, "That'll be us soon, you know." Barry does that whole panicked man face of, "Christ, we're not, are we?" And is relieved to find out that they're not.
Right.
Then a knock at the door.
Yeah.
And there's a woman who you've seen in, like, interspersed throughout the series and have had no idea why she's there.
Right.
She's at the door.
Hang on, let me stop you.
Yeah.
It's Joe West's daughter from the future. She kills Iris.
No!
God damn it.
She walks in and goes, "Hi, we need to talk." And they were like, "Don't we know? I saw you. You were at the place." And they all like talked about when they met her.
Yeah.
And who are you? And she goes, "I'm Nora West. I'm your daughter from the future, and I've made a massive mistake." Dun, dun, dun.
So she's Barry and Iris's daughter from
Yes,
the future.
Yes. Now, the only person who's ever travelled back in time before was Barry, and when he did that, he created the Flashpoint.
Yeah. Which they then promptly ballsed up.
Well, yes and no.
Okay, fine.
I mean, it didn't have Thomas Wayne in it, which was upsetting. But
yeah. I watched the first episode of season 3 and was like, I've had it.
Yeah, no, there's still been ripples of that causing them issues, even in season 4. But so she's come back and said, "I've made a massive mistake." So she's clearly changed something or helped them in some way.
What's her name?
Nora West.
No.
Or possibly Nora West Allen, if I'm honest. Oh.
She's played by someone called Jessica Parker Kennedy, who is okay. Yeah, fine. Yeah, good. She was apparently also. Oh, she was in Crisis on Earth X Part 1, which is their big crossover thing, which I promised I will watch this year.
You like that Crisis? If you haven't watched that, you should watch that.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a proper DC Crisis event.
Okay,
it works really well.
All right,
but yeah, she was in that, which kind of shows how far back they've thrown that. That she was in the very first episode.
Yeah, right.
And has been in episodes throughout, and you're never quite sure if it's the same one because it's always 3 or 4 episodes later. Mm-hmm. And if you're watching that weekly, there's no way you'd remember that's definitely the same face. For me, I'll be honest, in my 48-hour stretch, it was definitely the same face.
Is there a random speedster type person that helps them throughout the season, but they never find out who it is?
They don't know that there is.
But there is.
But there is.
So that's her, obviously.
And it's her.
Right.
And the only way you know that there might be something going on is that you actually see purple lightning instead of yellow.
Right.
But they never say, it's never alluded to, there's no real thing.
It happens and they just move on.
And the only time you actually see any kind of anything about it is in the final episode.
Okay.
I know you're never going to watch it.
I'll let you have it. I'm probably never going to watch it. I am going to watch the crossover event because it's going to have Batwoman in it. Mm-hmm. And I'll be okay with that. But I'm not going to go back to The Flash. I just can't do it.
I now need to watch this season of Arrow as well, just because if I've watched the other 3, I've got to watch Arrow.
Oh, I see.
So,
you're really doing it to yourself,
So I've got another 25, 26 episodes of something to watch. I'm not doing it in 48 hours. Just no,
don't do it to yourself.
No.
Anyway, hang on. No,
You've got one more thing.
I've got one more thing.
Yeah, I'll remind you.
Well done. Okay, so I recently, I cannot even remember how I found it. It might have just been, it popped up in my suggested things on YouTube because I have a YouTube login. I invest in it. And it's a YouTube channel called The Great War. Now, again, not very nerdy, but bear with me.
No, different type of nerdy.
Type of nerdy. Yep. If you are a history buff and you know bits and pieces, but you want to find out more about World War One, or the Great War, or the War to End All Wars, as it was called, and you don't want to get it from episodes of Downton Abbey season whatever, I encourage you to check out this YouTube channel. It started in 2014, exactly 100 years ago to the day that the First World War started. And what it does is they release a new episode every week that tells you what happened 100 years ago to that week in the First World War. And it goes into it. They've got some special episodes about how it started, with Franz Ferdinand being shot by a Serbian and all that sort of thing.
I don't know what they had against his music.
Let's face it, it's not the best. Anyway, honestly, it is really, really good. And I've finished 2014 and I'm into January 2015. So it's like four episodes that are about 10 minutes long, cover a week in the war. Okay. And it is unbelievably enlightening and really poignant as well about this was just such a waste of time. This did not need to happen at all. It was just warmongers trying to get more power. And then, of course, eventually, the really brutal... They've alluded to this, but haven't gone over it yet. But the brutal conditions that Germany were placed under after this war had a pretty much direct impact on what happened in World War II, or everything that led up to World War II and the Nazis.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you have any interest in history whatsoever and 20th century history, check this out. It's called The Great War. It's on YouTube. I cannot recommend it enough.
I may give that a watch.
Maybe.
It's time for Nate and the Italians update on the Deep South Tour 2018.
Hello everybody, it's Nate and the Italian here with our final update from our Deep South Tour 2018.
Hello.
We're currently walking along the Tennessee River in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah, runners, be careful.
Yeah, there's runners. And there's also a fast road, so you might not be able to hear us because of that, and it's windy, but we'll try our best. So when we left you last time, we were in a hot tub in Gatlinburg, and then the next day we went to Parrot Mountain, which is really cool. It was a place where there were loads of parrots.
And other birds.
And other birds, on a mountain.
And you made friends with one little bird.
I did.
Didn't want to leave you.
It was called Cinnamon, and it wouldn't leave my shoulder, probably because I kept feeding it. And then we went round Pigeon Forge that day and went to the Titanic Museum, which was actually really cool.
Yeah.
There were like actual artifacts from the Titanic there.
Yeah.
Then we moved on and we went to, where did we go then? Nashville.
Yeah.
Yes. Did we go on the way to Nashville? No, it was a long drive. It was horrible traffic. There was an interstate with three of the lanes were closed and we down to one.
It was on the way.
Oh, the worst journey ever. But Nashville was the best. I loved Nashville. It was great. Loads of country music stuff. What did we do the first day we were there?
We went to
Centennial Park. We went to Centennial Park.
Oh, the Parthenon.
Yeah, they've got a recreation of the Greek Parthenon. It's Greek,
with
isn't
Athena inside.
Yeah.
Gold.
It's really mad.
Random.
Like random.
I don't really know why.
And the reason is because, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. Then what else did we do that day?
We
Drinks and stuff.
We went to the Ryman. No, we went to
the Grand Ole Opry, and we saw some country music, some new stars and old stars, and it was
which
great
is a
fun.
radio show. But
Yes.
it was
Yes.
It's
like it's a bit like the O2 Arena in the UK. Like it's got like bars
not
and
really,
things
but
around
anyway.
it. It is a bit like that.
Well, even not the concept.
No, the concept, but
the
the area is. And the next day we went to the Ryman Auditorium, which is like the home of country music. It used to be a church. I really enjoyed that. That was great.
Johnny Cash Museum.
Johnny Cash Museum. We went around Broadway. We went to the Florida Georgia Line Bar and
Luke Bryan's
bar and
Jason
Jess Aldean's bar and Blake Shelton's bar. Went to some bars. And what else did we do that day? We went shopping.
Yeah, went
T-shirts
shopping.
and hats and all sorts of things.
Yeah, real good.
And then the next day we went to Bicentennial Park.
Yeah.
Which was really cool park. It's got it's got loads of like war memorial stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then we had a tour around the state capitol.
Yeah.
Which is great, and learn about the President Andrew Jackson and all the people that have been there. Like it's like a working capital, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a really lovely building. Actually.
It was really great. Just some stuff about history, like Civil War stuff there, wasn't there? And American Revolution and all that sort of stuff. Then we did
Country Music
Hall of Fame, which is very cool, very interesting. We did audio tours. And then we went out drinking in Broadway and
bought more stuff.
You bought more stuff. It was really fun, but we felt rough the next day, didn't we? We both felt really rough.
I think we were in bed by 9.
Yeah, we were, but we were,
But we were feeling bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, but it was really fun.
And then we moved on from then, didn't we? Did we move on from then?
What did we do that morning?
We did some stuff in the morning.
Did we?
This is a bad segment of the audio.
I can't remember what
it was only like 2 days ago.
It was yesterday.
We
Hang
drove.
on, what did we do?
What did we do?
What did we do?
What did we do? Oh my god.
We did something.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what we did. We did we went to the donut place.
Oh my god, yeah,
and
we got some
had,
pictures
like, the
and stuff. Yeah.
walls
There's loads of
and the Bluebird
murals.
Cafe.
Yeah, loads of murals around. So we went
photo ops, basically.
Yeah, photo ops. And there's a place called Five Daughters Bakery, and they do these things called cronuts, which is a cross between a croissant and a donut. So it's like a 100-layer donut. And because we were both feeling a bit rough, we had maple syrup glazed, cream filled, bacon topped cronuts.
Disgusting.
It was amazing.
I felt ill. You felt good.
It was like an injection of sugar. Right? It was completely got rid of my hangover.
Franklin.
And we went to
Yeah,
Franklin, which is
That's
a
where
little
all the,
town outside of
That's
Nashville.
where the country stars live, apparently, but we didn't see
It
any.
was super rich.
We
there,
saw
wasn't it?
loads of mansions. But
Yeah,
we didn't see any
it was really
country
cool.
stars.
So then from Franklin we drove down to Chattanooga, which is where we are today. And last night we went out to a restaurant, Italian restaurant. What was it called?
Aaliyah's.
Elia's. And it was very good. We enjoyed it very much, didn't
Yeah,
we?
it was nice.
It was really
It was
nice.
okay.
And today we spent the day in Chattanooga. We went up to a place called Lookout Mountain, which is a town just outside Chattanooga.
At the top of the mountain.
It's literally on top of a mountain. And there's
Went
a place
to Ruby
called Ruby
Falls.
Falls. There's a waterfall and
It's
caverns.
a bit like Cheddar Gorge, Wookie Hole Caves.
Yes, if you know
basically.
them in the UK,
You
yeah.
go down hundreds of feet.
260 feet?
I thought it was 620. I think I'm right.
Quite far.
Hey, no, because
Yeah.
you saw.
Yeah,
I think
it's
I'm
not.
right.
You're
I'm
probably
right.
right. Yeah, you normally are.
And then you saw a big waterfall at the end, but they don't know where it's from, so I mean
No.
that was helpful.
Yeah, it was all right. It was
It was okay.
It was
they
okay.
just didn't really know much.
no, but then we went to the top of the mountain, and there's the Lookout Mountain. There's the
City.
Rock City. Yeah, so you go through these like really cool. They're basically gardens, but they're made out of big rocks.
Yeah, and there's like all these little bridges made out of stones,
Yeah.
and
And then at
then
the
you
top,
have to go through like really, really narrow
yeah,
passageways.
one's called Batman Squeeze.
Something like that.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I banged my head.
And then
But-
you have that thing at the top where
Which
you
is
can
the
see all
lookout.
7 states.
Yeah,
apparently.
you can
I'm
see
not
7
sure I
states.
could, but anyway.
It was hazy today.
I think
wasn't
that
it?
was a lie.
So we did that, and then we walked on the riverfront on Tennessee River, which is strange because sometimes you can't see the river at all, and sometimes you can. But it's a nice walk, whatever.
Yeah, well, we just went for a drink at the end of it. Well,
Yeah.
not at the end of it,
No.
somewhere along it.
Yeah. And tomorrow we're moving on. We're going to go to Fayetteville, which is in Georgia, so we're moving down a state. And then we'll be doing some Walking Dead tour stuff because they filmed that in Sonoy, which is right close to there. And then we're going to head home on Saturday. So this is our final update.
Which is really sad.
It's very sad. We've had a really, really awesome time. We've been here. We will have been here 28 days. And on the next podcast, I'll have an update on how many miles we've travelled and how much fuel that cost and so on and so forth. But I hope you've enjoyed these updates. So from Tennessee River in Chattanooga, it's goodbye from us.
Bye.
Bye.
Anyway, let's talk about Doctor Who.
Let's.
Right. So as I alluded to at the start of this podcast, I am a Doctor Who fan. You are a Doctor Who super fan.
I don't know if I'm a super fan.
Well, you were a Doctor Who fan when Doctor Who was on in the 80s,
Yes.
when you were a kid. Did
Yeah.
you watch it in the 70s? You can't remember.
I'm not that bloody old.
Yeah, you probably were.
Born in '78, same as you.
But did you go back and watch older episodes of Doctor Who?
I
if
have
you could
watched
get your
older
hands on it?
episodes, yeah.
Okay, so you are a Doctor Who super fan.
Okay.
Okay.
If you say so.
I've not had the opportunity to talk about Doctor Who enough on this podcast, so
No,
today
no, you have not.
we're putting that right.
Yes.
Now, we've already had a shit ton of audience feedback.
Excellent.
We've had an awful lot of people saying, damn it, I wanted to be on this episode of this podcast if you're having a special guest. So no pressure, Dave, but make sure you do a good job.
Cool.
So
Thanks.
as I said, we are going to talk about our favourite episodes from the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th Doctors. And then we've got some audience feedback at the end about their favourite Doctor Who.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So, we will start with the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't know what each other's put here.
No,
And
no, we don't.
There's a huge possibility that we will have said the same things.
There's possibly some duplication here. So, I will just do a very small intro on who the 9th Doctor is. The
Go
9th
for
Doctor
it.
obviously was played by Christopher Eccleston. He was the Doctor that was brought back by Russell T Davies, who brought back the show Doctor Who because it had been cancelled in 1989. Came back for a TV movie which was not good.
It was good.
No, it wasn't.
It was
Dave.
good.
No, you are not remembering it correctly.
Right, there were bits of it that were good.
And most of it was terrible.
The woman that was in it was good.
Grace?
Yeah.
Sure.
I can't remember her name. I'll be honest, I watched most of it with the sound down.
He was the 8th Doctor, and he is canon. He is actually canon because he showed up later on.
Yep.
We might get into that, we might not. Anyway, this is what we have about the 9th Doctor. Emerging from the last Great Time War as whom he believed was its sole survivor, the 9th Doctor spent much of his life grieving over the immense suffering he had witnessed. He struggled with the idea that he was the last of the Time Lords, having left the conflict with the excruciating knowledge of his hand in its apparent grisly conclusion. So the 9th Doctor was suffering from PTSD, right?
Yeah, totally.
He had seen and done, or we believed he had seen and done. Turns out it actually wasn't him, but we might get to that. Well, it was the War Doctor basically, and then the War Doctor regenerated.
He is
into the
still a
Ninth.
doctor.
Sure.
Therefore, he still remembers.
Yes, he does. So
he felt responsible for a double genocide.
Yes, he wiped out all the Daleks, but in doing so also had to kill all the Time Lords.
Yes.
Right, so he was only around for one season.
Yep.
It's a bit of a shame. However, I think what comes afterwards sort of makes up for the fact that it was only the one season with this incredible actor. So what is your favourite Ninth Doctor episode?
So mine is a double episode. Which
okay, let me guess, it's The Empty Child.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
is that yours as well?
No.
Okay. So, The Empty Child.
By the way, double episodes are fine.
Cool.
I'm okay with that.
Good, because that may come up again.
Talk to me about the Empty Child.
So it was episode 9 and 10 of season 1.
First appearance of Captain Jack Harkness, I believe.
It was indeed. So if you don't remember the episode, the bit that will jog it in your memory is child who's wearing a gas mask just saying the line, "Are you my mummy?"
Terrifying.
It was horrible. So it was set in London during the Blitz, and followed the Doctor and Rose.
Yes.
As they tried to discover where a alien capsule had landed, basically.
Yes. So one thing we should say for anyone who doesn't watch Doctor Who, anything weird or scary that comes along in the episode, you might think, oh, it's ghosts or it's werewolves. No, it's all alien.
Yeah,
Everyone's an alien.
Always an alien.
They're always an alien. Even if they're not an alien, they are really.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're trying to discover what's turning then people. At the same time, they've gone, where's this canister gone? Oh, these people are weird. What's going on here? It took them a bit of time to figure out the two were linked, but there you go. So they were trying to figure that out. And the scary monsters are just people with gas masks.
Yeah,
stuck to their faces, fused to their faces.
Yeah, and they don't do anything at all. They just lie there with these gas masks attached to their faces until suddenly they're all up in everyone's business, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And then contact with them, touch, does the same to you as has happened to them.
Yes.
So, I mean, I found this episode, like, it was being an old Doctor Who fan as well.
Yeah.
It took me back to my childhood. So it was the hide behind the sofa kind of episode, the scary. It was the first time that New Who had been Old Who.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Terrifying, yes.
It was Stephen Moffat's debut. In
Yes.
New Who.
We'll get to Stephen Moffat, I
We
think.
will
Yes.
repeatedly, I feel.
Yeah, okay.
It was an episode I felt that showed more of that darkness that we talked about. So the Doctor being really kind of down and dour and feeling responsible. But what it did really well in the second part of the episode called The Doctor Dances was it showed the hope. It gave the Doctor hope again. And he used a line, and I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, not today, Rose. Today, everybody lives.
Just this once.
Yeah,
Everyone
everybody
lives. And throughout the entire two-part episode, he'd been scared, he'd been down, he'd been PTSD, I've seen terrible things.
Yeah.
And then he explodes into this, because he's so happy that he saved everyone.
Yep. And it was
Incredible.
proper uplifting. It gave the Doctor some character. It was galling almost that we got that Doctor
Yeah.
And then so soon afterwards, we lost that Doctor.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was the episode that made Doctor Who back, if that makes sense.
Brought it back for you.
There'd been 8 episodes before it
Yeah.
they're fine. They were Sylvester McCoy episodes. There was nothing wrong with them. They were fine.
Yeah, okay.
It is the Doctor. I get it. There's the TARDIS. They're going through time and space. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was, oh no, he is the bloody Doctor.
Everything
This
is
is Doctor
terrifying.
Who. Yes.
And it's quite pertinent you say that, actually, because yes, he is the Doctor. Yes, this is Doctor Who. And the Doctor tries to save everyone.
Yeah.
He's not a bad guy.
No, he's not.
The decision he made in the last Time War has haunted him.
Yes.
And it's haunted him through this regeneration.
Yep.
And he's not in a good place at all. So he's so ecstatic and overjoyed when he saves everyone at the end of this 2-parter, which Doctor Who episodes used to be like 5 or 6 part serials, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
And then they came back and they did 1-parters and the odd 2-parter here and there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there were.
Was this the first time they did a 2-parter in the...
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was the first 2-parter, or the first real 2-parter
Of New Who.
of New Who.
Okay, fine.
It felt like you needed to watch the second one to understand the first.
What more do we need to talk about on these episodes? Because they are absolutely brilliant. I'm just trying to think as well. Is this the first time that Rose calls her mum from the past?
Oh, see,
Oh, I might be wrong.
Yeah,
I
no,
might
I
be
think
wrong.
she
Not
did on
sure.
that dodgy Nokia.
But they picked up one of the guys I want to talk about, Adam, who's that really clever English young lad who they find in maybe something I might be talking about
Oh,
a little
okay.
bit.
You like that one? I like that
We'll
one.
see, yeah. But I'm just trying to think.
So the thing in this was Captain Jack
Yes,
being introduced. That was massive.
he's a time agent, isn't
He's
he?
time, and he's got the ability to travel through time due to some silly wrist thing that he's wearing
Yes,
that gives him that ability. Cool. That comes in really handy in Torchwood.
yes, it does. Yeah,
And that's where we get that Captain Jack, and that's where we get that whole spin-off show. Everyone knows, right? Torchwood,
yeah,
Doctor Who.
yeah. It's
Anagram.
Torchwood.
Yeah. Cool. Not everyone knows. You say it to some people, and they're like, "Is it?"
Really?
And you're like, "Yeah."
Come on. What was the tie to Bad Wolf in this episode?
Oh.
I'm sure it was probably written
I
somewhere.
think it was
or
written on a
something.
wall in a street in London. Or
Yeah,
something.
probably. Yeah.
That was a very clever.
That was something that I loved about Russell T Davies's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He did 4 full seasons of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But he had a single plot thread run through the whole season. You'd see here and there, it would be paid lip service to, just like I guess Iris West or
Yeah,
their daughter,
yeah,
whatever she's
yeah.
called in The Flash. And then suddenly it would become important and it would be what everyone was thinking about.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I loved that it came up. It came up in the episode I want to talk about as well, actually. And I heard it last night when I rewatched it. I was like, ah.
Go on then. What was your one?
So, are you happy for me to go on?
Go for
I've
it.
probably spoiled it for everyone, but my one is episode 6 of New Who with what's his face, Christopher Eccleston, Dalek. Mm-hmm. So they the TARDIS has been sent a distress beacon sort of thing. It's picked up a distress beacon, and they land in 2012. How twee. In what seems to be like an underground bunker owned by this rich multi-trillionaire guy called Henry Van Staten, who apparently owns the internet, which I love. That's such a 2005 thing to own. What does he own? The internet. What do you mean he owns the internet? He just does. Don't ask any questions.
Yep.
Yeah, and one of the alien artifacts that this guy collects, because you see a Cybermen head, you see an arm of Slovene, I think it is. Those weird guys. That was a 2-parter actually, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that wrong. Never mind.
Doesn't that come after?
No, I think that one comes before. There's no way to know, really,
No,
Dave.
that's
Whilst
fine.
I talk, you may want to look into
I'm
it.
not going to. No.
But it's up to you.
No.
So yeah, basically, Henry Van Staten collects alien artifacts, and he's got one living artifact, and it turns out it's a Dalek. Rose touches it because she's a bleeding heart, and the Dalek's being tortured, and the Dalek sort of regenerates itself because it's picked up the essence of a time traveller,
Yeah.
sciencey, wincy stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. Doctor Who science,
Yeah.
brilliant. And then basically it breaks out of the bunker and it threatens to kill everyone. But because it's imprinted on Rose, or Rose is imprinted on the Dalek, it sort of starts to feel things that it's never felt before. Like it doesn't
emotions in itself. Yeah.
It picks up emotions and it hates that because Daleks just hate everything, and it kills itself. And you finally figure out what those little balls for are on a Dalek on the pepper pot. That's its self-destruct mechanism. Brilliant. But the reason that I've picked this one as my favourite Ninth Doctor episode is the scene really early on, actually. I'd forgotten how early it is in the episode, where the Doctor is confronted with the Dalek in the shadows, and then he realises what it is, and then he wants to get out, and then he gets really angry with it, because obviously everything he's just been through. And that, I think, is really, for me, where you see the darkness in this Doctor for really the first time. He's screaming at it. He screams, why don't you just die at it? And the Dalek sort of says to him, wow, you'd make a good Dalek. And it's like, oh, that's the worst insult you could give to this man at this point right now. I loved it.
Yeah.
I watched it again last night for a bit of research. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't hold up as well as you might remember it does. But it is still, I think, my favourite episode.
Great episode. Great episode.
So those are our favourite Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who episodes, the Ninth Doctor. So that's it all done. Do you want to let's move on to the 10th Doctor?
Okay.
Would say the best of the new Who Doctors. Some would say. I don't know if I agree.
I would.
Okay, fine. Let me read out the paragraph from tardis.wikia.com.
Okay.
Benefiting from the healing undergone by his predecessor, the 10th Doctor possessed an outgoing, lively and genial demeanour that hid his underlying guilt. For most of his life, the Doctor was able to successfully project a convivial, God, what's with all the words, and even frivolous front. However, when he had to engage in conflict, the Doctor's energies would shift to reveal a fiercely protective man who resolutely guarded what he held dear, and who could be viciously unforgiving to the forces that dared menace them. So that's David Tennant. So he showed up in... Christopher Eccleston regenerated into David Tennant in The Parting of Ways, I think, right at the end of 2005. And then Tennant's 10th Doctor showed up in the Christmas episode for real, which he was asleep for most of, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he was.
But yeah. What is your favourite episode? Oh, I knew
That's
it
your
was
one,
gonna
isn't
be
it?
Blink. No, it's not.
Okay.
No.
Wow, we've done well.
I'm amazed by this because I thought about Blink.
Yep.
But I thought, do you know what? There's not enough of the Doctor in Blink for it to be my favourite Doctor episode.
It's still my favourite episode because of the way he is in it and the clever way he's in it. So, context.
Yes.
Nathan somewhere is just screaming the word context.
Give us
at
the
me.
context! Yeah.
So this was the 10th episode of Series 3. The Doctor and, turns out, Martha.
Yes, Martha.
I was convinced it was Rose.
No.
But Martha. They're trapped in 1969 and are having to communicate with a young woman in 2007.
Sally Sparrow.
Correct.
I always thought she would have made a great Doctor Who companion.
I'm amazed they didn't go back to her.
But then
somehow.
at the end of this episode, it sort of nicely wraps up her story. Anyway,
Yes.
I'm jumping ahead.
So they need to communicate with her in 2007 to stop the Weeping Angels from taking over the TARDIS. Now, this is the first time we saw the Weeping Angels.
What is a Weeping Angel, Dave?
Weeping Angel is a quantum-locked being, Benjamin.
It is quantum locked.
Ah,
I knew it was quantum locked.
See?
Yeah.
So what that means is they can move when they're not being observed, but they can't move when they are.
So if you're looking straight at a Weeping Angel,
Yep.
it
is a
can't
statue.
move. Yeah, it's a
effectively.
statue.
But if you're not looking at it, it's a terrifying thing that's going to scare the shit out of you.
If you blink,
Indeed.
You
it
are
will move.
dead.
Yes.
but it doesn't kill you, does it? It sends you back in time,
Well,
and then lives off of your residual time energy.
At
or
this
something.
point, we
Sure.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, we do know, because the whole reason they're communicating with the person in 2007 is because Sally's friend, whose name I can't remember, possibly Billy, it wasn't Billy,
Someone. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
got attacked by the Weeping Angels, got sent back to 1969, is then meets the Doctor, sets up a recording company, a video distribution company.
Oh, this isn't her friend. This is the police officer who's got all the cars in lockup of everyone who's ever been to that house where the Weeping Angels are.
If you say so.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's been sent back. He makes contact with her
Yeah.
and says, I was tasked to do this. I've been putting these DVD extras on films, and it's on these films. And she looks at the list and goes, huh, that's a list of all my films.
Yeah, every DVD
Every
she owns or
DVD
something.
I own, it's
Yeah.
on there. This message is for me.
That is really, really clever.
And that's how we saw the Doctor. So the Doctor only ever in this episode really was the DVD extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sally realises she can have a conversation with the Doctor, but it isn't always a conversation that makes sense.
Yes. That's
Because
right.
it needs to be the right conversation to get the right answer from the DVD extra she's
That's
watching
right, yeah.
at the time.
I think she interacts with it twice.
Yes.
Once the first time she sees it, when she's like, she sort of says something that he then immediately responds to, and she's like, well, that's weird. And the second time, right at the end,
Yes.
when they set up the TV and they're watching it, and she's actually
Yes.
answering the questions that then her
Exactly.
friend is writing down
And then gives that transcript to
the doctor later on. Yeah.
So
This is Moffat's strength, if you ask me.
yes, and it's Moffat again. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
So that's 2 episodes I've picked.
So it's Russell
They're both
T
terrifying.
Davies. Yeah, you're absolutely right there.
They're both Moffat.
Yeah. Moffat is good at creating things that are scary,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very good at doing clever things with time travel.
Yes.
So, if you haven't seen this episode, what's wrong with you? Go and watch it if you're a
Absolutely
Doctor Who
right.
fan. If you aren't a Doctor Who fan, this is actually quite a good episode to introduce yourself to Doctor Who, I think.
You could watch this episode standalone,
Yeah.
never have to watch another Doctor Who episode again, and you'd still love it.
Yeah, and you'd know everything there is to know about Doctor Who, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it starts, doesn't it start with writing on the wall?
Yes,
she's
it does.
peeling off wallpaper.
She's peeling off wallpaper in a room, and there's some writing on that wall.
And it says, like, beware the weeping angels, oh, and duck. No,
Yes.
seriously, duck now.
Now,
And
yeah.
she does, and someone throws a rock at her.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Brilliant.
and it was like, what the...
So I think she then goes back to that house with her friend, who then gets attacked and sent back in time by a weeping angel.
Yes.
And then her friend, who went back in time's grandson, shows up and gives her a letter.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
That's
Yep.
it. Then she goes to the police and meets Billy.
Yes,
Because
see, I didn't do what you've done and watch the episode
I think
again.
I've watched this episode so many times, so I just
Yeah.
can't not remember it.
But yeah, like the Weeping Angels were terrifying. They were new. I've put, I wrote down a word that I don't think is even a word, but I've said to the Whoniverse. Is that
I'll
a
take that
thing?
word. Yeah.
I'm saying it is a thing right now. It's
The
a thing.
Whoniverse.
The Whoniverse.
Yeah, because Doctor Who lives in the universe, so
It's the
putting those words
Whoniverse.
together, it's a
Yeah.
universe. Yeah, I'll go with that.
So again, it was tense. It was like hide behind the sofa. It was old Who, new Who.
Yeah.
The drama in it was brilliant. The way that David Tennant literally, to record that episode, and there's a history behind it, is that Stephen Moffat was asked to create a Who light episode
Right, okay.
because they were doing an awful lot of filming that required David Tennant to be doing an awful lot of filming
Yeah.
for another episode. But they wanted to get this episode in the bag, so they had something else to be
Yeah.
able to broadcast.
So it's a Doctor Light, Who
Yeah,
Light
absolutely.
episode. Yeah. Okay.
So he was asked to create something that didn't involve David Tennant doing an awful lot of effort. Mm-hmm. So Tennant had to sit in a room, probably not too dissimilar from this one, Ben,
Yeah.
and say a set of lines.
Convincingly, like
Yeah,
he was having
to-
a conversation. With someone.
but to a camera. That was it.
He's a good actor, isn't he, David Tennant?
But that was what he had to do. So he probably had to film that for all of 20 minutes, and the rest of it was done. And I think the episode benefits from the lack of the Doctor.
Yes.
Because it tells the story of that Doctor brilliantly.
Yeah, and you would think as well, if he showed up, he would probably get rid of them pretty quickly, dispatch with them pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But the ultimate way they get rid of them is she has to put a glowing DVD.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, into the
weird.
TARDIS DVD player, which all TARDISes come with, apparently.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
but that makes the TARDIS disappear.
Goes to 1969. Pick
The
up the Doctor and
but
Martha.
leaves Sally and whoever it is.
Her friend's brother, who then becomes her boyfriend, whose name I can't remember.
Just stood there.
Yeah.
And the weeping angels that had enclosed round the TARDIS then, cunningly, the TARDIS disappears, they're left looking at each other and are permanently
Locked.
Quantum
locked, yeah.
It was so brilliant. So brilliant. And the Doctor not being there told you more about that Doctor, I feel, than any other episode, because it was him.
Yeah.
That whole episode, it was his genius that made it work. That Doctor's ability to go, it's cool. We've got a solution to this.
We haven't actually said spoilers for anything that we've talked about already, have we? But I mean, like you said, this episode came out in 2007. Spoilers for a TV show that came out 11
years ago. Yeah, it's older than my kids.
I have repeatedly said to Nate that if he were to watch a David Tennant Doctor Who episode, he should try this one, Blink, because it is that good.
Yes, it is.
And I think it would...
If they'd released that as a film...
Yes.
Ignore the fact that it's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
If there'd been some kind of weird space-time anomaly that we get in all other films, they can't explain it as timey-wimey, so just space-time anomaly, and they'd release that as a horror film, Nate wouldn't watch it because he'd be too scared.
He would.
But it would have...
I get what you're trying to say.
It would have done brilliantly at the box office.
Yeah, it would have.
It won awards, that episode, and actually so did the one I mentioned before, The Empty Child. Yeah. They both won awards.
Did you just go Doctor Who episodes that won awards? I'll pick those ones.
No, I did. I like these episodes. Oh look, they won awards. The next one I picked didn't, so don't worry.
So a couple of things. Number one, they lift a plot device straight out of Back to the Future Part 2 with the letter that Sally's friend who goes back in time writes to Sally in the present day. Turn up at this time, same as the Doc does with Marty. I'm fine with it. And the second thing, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say, which isn't important, so never mind.
Cool.
But yeah, no, it's a great episode and a good shout. Well done, Dave.
Thank you. What was your one?
Mine, funnily enough, was the episode that comes right before Blink.
Okay.
It is the second part of a two-parter starring David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, and it is called... Crap. Is it called...
I don't remember that one.
Hang on. Is it called... No. Okay, so the episode I've got here is Human Nature, but actually it is the second part, which is The Family of Blood.
Okay.
So this goes straight into what I was saying. If the Doctor had showed up in your episode Blink, he would have dispatched with the Weeping Angels quite quickly. It's the same thing in this episode. So it's a two-parter.
Yep.
It starts with the Doctor and Martha running back into the TARDIS, and they're being chased by these aliens who use people's life force to extend their life. And if they get the life force of a Time Lord, they'll live forever. Mm-hmm. They're called the Family of Blood, so they're obviously nasty people. They're going to ruin the universe. So the Doctor wants to hide, and to hide himself from not being a Time Lord, he uses something called a chameleon arch and becomes human, and turns up in 1913 Britain, just before the First World War. Interesting, as we were talking about earlier on. Becomes a school teacher, falls in love, and then when everything is revealed to him, the Family of Blood track him down, and Martha reveals that actually he's this person, this Time Lord. You see David Tennant go through all these emotions, realising that he's going to have to sacrifice his, I say in inverted brackets, inverted commas, human self to defeat these aliens.
Yep.
And then he does do that and defeats the aliens just like that. But the reason he turns himself into a human is to spare the lives of the Family of Blood, because he knows that they won't stop, so he knows he's probably going to have to do something terrible to them. And he doesn't want to do that, so he turns himself into a human. I watched this episode this evening whilst I was doing the dishwasher. I love this episode of Doctor Who.
It's a brilliant episode.
Brilliant. He turns himself into... Oh, I know what I was going to say about Blink now.
Go on.
It was when he's having that conversation through the DVD extras. It's the first use of the wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Yes.
Sorry. Anyway, I've backtracked completely. It's the first time I think that he uses the persona John Smith, which he then uses later on. So he falls in love as a human with this nurse, and then the chameleon device thing that he's hiding his Time Lord self in gives him a glimpse of what his life as a human would have been like. And it's heartbreaking that he has to give all of this up to turn back into this depressed, lonely Time Lord to defeat these horrible bad guys who he can just defeat like that. And he does.
I absolutely love that episode.
It is great, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
I was so torn with David Tennant on which episode to choose because he's got so many good ones.
I don't think I can be proved very wrong. I'm an idiot. Please feel free to tell me.
Sure.
But I don't think there's a bad David Tennant episode.
Yeah, okay. I think he is such a likeable character anyway.
Bad.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like terrible.
Bad.
Why on earth did they make that episode?
Yeah,
I don't believe there is one. I believe there are for Matt Smith, which I know you would disagree with by your eyebrow.
No, I wouldn't actually.
And Peter Capaldi.
I wouldn't argue with that at all. I think the problem with those Doctors that we might get to, I guess, in a bit, but the problem with them is that the showrunner changed at that point. It wasn't Russell T Davies anymore. It was Stephen Moffat. Mm-hmm. Stephen Moffat, I think, is an incredible writer.
Yep.
Given one story to write, when he tries to weave an intricate story over a season, he gets himself tied up in knots, and he tells a very confusing story.
Blink was the only one that he did in series 3.
There you go. I don't even know what he did in season 4.
I don't know.
No, me neither. But he most of his Doctor, like The Empty Child, most of his Doctor Who episodes when it was Russell T Davies as the showrunner were iconic.
Yes.
They were fantastic. You know, they were really, really well received.
Yeah.
So he was a natural choice for the showrunner. I just think he was out of his depth as the showrunner because he tried to make Doctor Who a bit too much like Sherlock.
A little bit.
And I don't think that was the right choice because I think it alienated a lot of the younger viewers. Anyway, we're not talking about him at the moment. We're talking about the Family of Blood.
Yes.
And also, I kind of really can't talk about Human Nature a bit as well, really. But Human Nature sets up the story, and then Family Blood is the payoff.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing that I enjoyed about that episode was the school.
Yeah.
And the dynamic between the children and their teacher.
Yeah. And the children themselves.
The good kids versus the not so good kids. Yeah. And actually that none of them were bad.
No. They were just
misguided.
Yeah. I think, doesn't one of them say, permission to thrash Baines? Doctor Who's John Smith says, permission granted. So he's going to take this kid around the back and give him a damn good pasting.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
And in the payoff, you get to see one of those kids...
the kid that has the fob watch with the Time Lord essence in.
Yeah.
He has some kind of sixth sense specialness about him.
Yeah.
And I think that the pocket watch shows him elements of himself a year later in the war that he's going to be part of.
And then they see him as an old guy at the end.
Yeah, they do, and it's very poignant.
Very
poignant. Yeah. I love this episode of Doctor Who.
It is really good.
Like I said, I could have gone with a couple. I almost settled on Doomsday, which was the final part of his first season as Doctor Who, when Rose gets sucked into the parallel Earth.
Yeah.
And he's lost her. And
that's heartbreaking.
That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, you can't talk about that one.
But
I've still not got over Rose leaving.
Yeah, I know. But she came back. Sort of.
Yeah.
But my problem with that is it's a little bit too... The big thing about this is it's Daleks versus Cybermen.
Yeah.
And while some of that's fun, it's a bit...
look, as a 10-year-old in 1988, I would have loved Daleks versus Cybermen.
That would have been the best thing
That would have been my favourite episode ever.
There is a fantastic smackdown line that the Dalek puts on one of the Cybermen and says... I think that he says... the Daleks are supreme in every way. Oh, but the Cybermen are supreme in only one way to the Daleks. And the Cyberman goes, And what is that? And the Dalek says, "You're better at dying than we are," or something like that. It's just like, oh, mic drop. That Dalek just got that Cyberman big time.
Brilliant.
But yeah, and also I think Tennant's last episode is Doctor Who, where he has that 15-minute goodbye to all of his former friends, companions, is heart-wrenchingly sad.
Yes, but brilliant.
Very, very brilliant. And his final words, "I don't want to go," being a play on his catchphrase "Allons-y," which is "let's go," is forever a genius bit of writing and one of the most saddest things I've ever seen on TV.
I still say "Allons-y" to my kids when we need to go somewhere. Come on, "Allons-y."
I can't say it. It's too sad for me. So, explosive, exuberant, emotionally unpredictable, and adventurous, the 11th Doctor was the final incarnation of the Doctor's original regenerative cycle. By this point in his life, the Doctor's reputation had grown immense, attracting a new strain of conflicts. Wishing to withdraw from the dangers it created, he became a secretive and guileful individual for the sake of himself and those he held close. So Matt Smith became the Doctor in Christmas 2010, and I was always really put off with the fact that literally seconds after he regenerated, he spat in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I really didn't like it.
The Raggedy Doctor.
Yeah, the Raggedy Man. But yeah, okay. So what is your favourite of the Matt Smith Doctor Who episodes? Bearing in mind, different showrunner now, Stephen Moffat.
Yeah.
I think he had a really strong first season.
Yeah.
And then everything after that pretty much blends into one for me.
Okay. So I picked an episode, which I said to you on the way here, you wouldn't guess, given all the time in the world. I then changed that, realising there's a finite number of episodes. But I picked Vincent and the Doctor.
I would not have guessed that in the world.
So it was written by Richard Curtis.
Yes, it was. Of Love Actually fame.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So the premise is absolutely nuts. And it could only be a Doctor Who episode.
Explain it to us, Dave.
So the Doctor and Amy Pond, and I have to say at this point, I love Amy Pond.
She's probably my favourite Doctor Who companion.
Oh, is she a Doctor Who companion? I love Amy Pond.
She's brilliant. Yeah, she's brilliant.
They are at a Vincent van Gogh exhibition.
Yes, they are.
Okay? Because why wouldn't they be? And they're looking at the pictures and they notice something odd in one of the paintings. So pop off and pay him a visit. Basically.
The odd thing that they notice is...
a weird figure in a church window.
Right, okay, good.
Okay?
Good.
So, if I'm being honest...
Yeah, please be. Don't lie.
The episode contains probably the worst monster.
Isn't it invisible?
Yeah, pretty much. Most of the time it's invisible.
Okay.
And only Vincent can see it.
Standard. Yeah.
Because
standard.
That's something special about Vincent. I can't remember what it's called, but it's called something like the Krakas or the Krafiat or the Cravat or something. It's a terrible name.
Would you like me to look it up?
No, because it doesn't matter, because the monster in this episode completely doesn't matter.
Okay, fine.
My thoughts on this is the episode isn't about the monster, it's about heart.
Oh.
It's about loss and it's about depression. So in the series to this point, Amy has just lost Rory.
Yes, she has.
And doesn't necessarily know that at this point. Oh, that's ruining your one.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
So, but doesn't know that at this point. He doesn't realise that she's lost him. So Vincent and Amy are talking about great loss, and Vincent talks about, I can see you've suffered a great loss as well. And Amy's like, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Probably said those words in a slightly more Scottish accent.
Yeah.
But it focuses on Vincent's depression. It focuses on his loss. It focuses on Amy trying to save him from committing suicide.
Yeah.
That's what
it's quite a deep episode.
Yeah, it is. That's what the arc is in this, is Amy trying to save Vincent. Not the Doctor trying to save. Yeah, there's a monster. Who cares? It's about Amy trying to save Vincent.
This is one of the reasons, what you've just said there is actually quite pertinent. This is one of the things that pissed me off about Stephen Moffat's run on Doctor Who. Yeah, there's a monster, but who cares? Because Doctor Who was normally about the monsters.
Yeah, it was. But
it wasn't with Stephen Moffat all the time,
it was about the people sometimes, which makes, like, sometimes that's great, and I think this episode's a great example of that. So in an attempt to save Vincent, they defeat the monster. Cool.
Of course, yeah. Standard.
They do a bit about how Vincent can see, he hears colour, he doesn't see colour.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
But no. Because he completely accepts that they're time travellers based on the fact that he could hear there was something different about the way they looked or something. So they take him forward in time.
Yeah.
To his own exhibition that they'd been at. And you get Bill Nighy as the curator.
Yeah.
Uncredited in the episode, by the way.
Amazing.
Talking to Amy about Vincent.
Yeah,
he says, I wrote it down.
Oh, very good.
He was the greatest painter of them all. Mm-hmm. And Vincent, like, his face changes and he sees that his art is worth something, because in his lifetime, his lifetime it never was. So he never gets to see that. But he sees it in this, and it, my eyes may have sweated because it was hot in the room when that happened.
Sure.
And you kind of go, oh my God, they've done it. They've saved him.
Yeah.
They've saved him. Brilliant. And they return him to his timeline. And then Amy's all excited. So what else did he paint? What else did he paint? And no, he's still committed suicide in 1937 or whatever it would have been.
Yeah.
And nothing changed. But it was just a lovely...
But didn't he paint something that he then dedicated? The
on
sunflowers?
one of the vases, I think there was like the label on the sunflowers, famous sunflowers picture said for Amy.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't. I checked.
No.
I really did check them.
But you did check.
Was that always there? And that's really clever. Or is it not? It wasn't.
Good TV can make you check what you know is real.
It was just one of those that you just go, what a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And you think my other ones that I've picked have been, this terrified me, this scared me, this was hide behind the sofa, this was grab a cushion but
cry into that
for
cushion.
Emotional support rather than for hiding behind. It was just lovely. And yeah, there was a monster in it, but this was the one time for me where the monster didn't matter. It was all about the heart.
The monster may or may not have been called something called the Crapheus.
There you go, I said it was called that, like the Krakas.
A lost and blind alien whom only Van Gogh can see. Anyway, good shout. I remember liking this episode. I didn't even consider it when I was going through my list of ones to pick.
I think there's a lot of Amy Pond wearing a summer dress.
Is there really, Dave?
I think that may have made it stand out in my mind slightly more.
Well, and of course, I think that Matt Smith is a beautiful man. So there you go. We've balanced that there. My favourite episode of Matt Smith's is from the same series, same season, season 5, and it is the final episode, The Big Bang.
Okay.
So this is the one. So in the episode before this, which is called the Pandorica Opens. Again, written by Stephen Moffat, because he was the showrunner. This was his final 2 episodes of season 5. This thing called the Pandorica, that a trickster or something is rumoured to, or legend says that they've been encased in it, and it opens and it's empty, and then all of the Doctor's sort of major villains show up: Cybermen, Daleks, others. What are the ones called who are clones of each other, and they've got the breath hole at the back. What are they called?
Those ones.
Yeah. I forgot what they're called. Anything, Autons, all sorts. They all show up and they're all like, this is for you, you're going in this. But because he goes in there and the TARDIS blows up, which Van Gogh saw and painted a picture of.
Yes.
Basically, the universe sort of explodes.
Yeah.
So the Doctor goes, "Oh, I know, we can save it by doing Big Bang 2, and this is how we're going to do it." And it's Stephen Moffat doing clever, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff.
Yeah.
It's all time travel. There's stuff with a time vortex sort of manipulated thing like Captain Jack had, where the Doctor jumps from whatever it is, 2010, say it is, or 2011. He goes back to 2,000 years into the past, where Rory is Centaurian Auton, and he's protecting Amy, who's been shot but not killed because she gets put in the Pandorica. And it's just crazy. It's crazy how it all weaves together. But watching it again last night, I realised why this was my favourite one. Because this is Stephen Moffat at his height of doing clever things with time travel. Absolutely brilliant. I loved it. It's my favourite of the Matt Smith Doctor Who's, because it's from the first season.
Yep.
It wraps up Amy's story with the crack in time and space.
Yep.
Really, really well.
Yep.
And I love it.
Doesn't
Absolutely.
it also introduce the Fez?
It does introduce the Fez.
I wear a Fez now. Fez are cool.
That's right. He says that line. I wear a Fez now. Fezes are cool.
Yeah.
And I think Amy grabs the Fez, throws it, and Riversong blows
Shoots
it up.
Yes.
Riversong's in this as well.
Yeah.
I think she was actually used fairly well in this episode, and she's badass. The fact that Rory waited 2,000 years protecting Amy while she was encased in the Pandorica is just lovely. And it just goes to show that Amy Pond may have been billed as a potential love interest for the Doctor. She loved the Doctor as a mate. She loved Rory because she loved Rory.
Yeah.
And that's just wonderful. I love that. And have you seen that one recently? It's so clever. Go and watch it again.
There's
it's
moments
so
where
clever.
like he picks up a drink and he puts down the drink, and it's all through time travel where he's jumped around and.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Child Amy Pond goes to the museum.
Yes. That's
and then the 11th Doctor, and she loses her drink.
Yes.
And the 11th Doctor has gone back in time to grab it because adult Amy is saying, "I'm thirsty."
Yes.
So she steals a drink. He steals a drink off of child Amy Pond. He gives it to adult Amy Pond.
Yes.
There you go, have a drink.
Yes.
It's very clear. There's
Yes,
also stuff with the with his sonic screwdriver. He gives it to Amy back in in Roman times, and says, goes back in time and says, "Oh right, make sure you put that in Amy's top pocket when she's finished with it." And Rory does, and 2,000 years later, the Doctor takes it out of Amy's top pocket, and then you can use his sonic screwdriver again. Just brilliant. Just brilliant.
It is a really clever episode.
I love
really
it.
Clever.
And that's the best of Stephen Moffat playing around with time travel. Blink was good. This was better, in my opinion. And Stephen Moffat playing with time travel. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I still don't know if that's true.
But I remember watching the episode before this, the Pandorica opens, and how that ended, and I thought to myself, okay, how the hell are they going to get out of that? And then they do.
Yes.
It's superb.
No, it is brilliantly written.
Superb. When the Doctor wakes up as well after Big Bang 2, he says to himself, bow tie. Oh, no, he looks down and he goes, legs, cool. Bow tie, brilliant. I can buy a Fez. That's brilliant. Matt Smith delivered comedy lines better than I think any Doctor before.
Yep.
And since.
I think he got a good end of the stick on that.
Yeah.
Is that following Tennant, so you'd gone glib with Eccleston.
Yeah.
You'd gone, whatever that weird word they used to describe.
I've closed it now, but whatever.
You know, he was more frivolous, I think was the word.
Frivolous, yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
But he still had his moments of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And with Smith, it's like they'd lost the darkness.
He was fun.
He was the fun guy. He wore silly hats and bow ties because bow ties were cool.
Mm-hmm. And tweed jackets.
He wore a Stetson at some time, a cowboy hat.
Yes, he did in his second season.
Because cowboy hats were cool.
Yes, they were. I guess. Now, let me read out the little bit we have here about the 12th Doctor. Stern, ruthless, but also kind and forgiving. The 12th Doctor was the first incarnation of the Doctor's second regeneration cycle, bestowed upon him by the Time Lords at Clara Oswald's urging. Shall I go on a little bit here? Nah, that's fine. That'll do. Right. So I think we haven't really ever talked, I don't think, about Capaldi's Doctor. What did you think of the casting when he was announced as Doctor Who?
Oh dear.
Really?
Yeah, I thought, oh dear.
Okay. I thought it was quite ingenious, really.
Okay.
I had heard that Moffat wanted to cast Capaldi as the 11th Doctor.
Okay.
And then Matt Smith walked in and did an audition for it, and then we're like, actually, that's our Doctor. So I think Moffat remembered what Capaldi had done and went back to him when Smith walked away.
So the problem I had wasn't that I'm a fanboy that was going, oh, but the Doctor's meant to be so attractive, because that's what had started happening.
Sure.
It was that they'd gone to old style Doctor Who.
Okay, yeah.
So they'd gone with a Pertwee.
Right, yes, they had.
And to be fair, they'd followed a Troughton, so it kind of made sense.
Yes, yeah, okay, I'll go with all of this.
But I was like, I don't know that the new Doctor Who, New Who, as it has been dubbed, has space for this old style Doctor, a professor type, the teacher, the brains, rather than the action hero.
They did do a couple of things to try and cool him up, didn't they? So
They did.
They gave him a guitar,
Yes.
and they gave him sonic sunglasses.
Yes.
And I think some of it worked to a degree, but it didn't always land for me.
Completely. But it did worry me that they'd gone with that thing.
Go on, say what you're going to say.
He was never my favourite Doctor.
No, he's
Like,
not.
Of
He's not
the
mine.
4, he's my least favourite.
That's fine. That's okay.
And if you include other Doctors from old Who,
Yes.
he falls a lot further down the list.
Okay, that's interesting.
I
I
reckon-
think that's a conversation for another day.
Yes.
But
There's
I
a
don't-
whole nother podcast.
I don't
there.
disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. I think he got the rough end of the stick with
He
Moffat's
did.
writing. So I think Moffat was running out of ideas.
Well, he didn't only get that, but he got to follow Matt Smith.
who was one of the most beloved Doctors ever.
Absolutely. And Smith followed Tennant, who was the most beloved Doctor ever.
Yeah.
At least of New Who.
Yeah.
So
I
to go
think-
Tennant, Smith, whoever was going to follow that
They were going to
was
have
going
a
to
tough
have
job.
a David Moyes moment.
So, okay. Wow, that's a very specific reference which multiple people in America probably
Correct.
won't get.
Yep.
Okay. Having said all of that, the job here tonight was to talk about our favourite of the new Doctor Who episodes.
Yes.
Per Doctor. We've done all three we've done Eccleston and Tennant and Smith.
Yep.
What's your favourite Capaldi Doctor Who episode?
It's a double episode.
Okay.
Is yours?
No.
Okay. So it is the double episode of The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar.
Oh, do you know what? It might be the same bloody season again.
So series 9, episodes 1 and 2. So it started.
Oh no, it's not. You're right.
Okay.
It's the same season, but it's not too close in the
Okay.
episodes. Go ahead.
So it's a Moffat episode, not
Right.
surprisingly.
Yes.
The Doctor starts the episode attempting to save a young boy from a minefield with hand mines. So it's little hands that grab you out the ground.
Oh yes, I remember this.
Terrifying little horrible creepy things that come out the ground. The Doctor's really struggling to do it, but he's in his everybody lives kind of mode, which Capaldi still has.
Yeah.
That's followed through.
Yes.
And he's trying everything he can think of. He ends up chucking the young lad his sonic screwdriver so that he can talk to him, because he realises if the lad points the screwdriver at him, he'll be able to hear what he's saying.
Yes.
So he does that to be more human, which is what people have been telling him he needs to be for the previous series. You've got to try and be more human. You've got to try and be more convivial. That was another word used earlier. Try and be nice, basically.
Yeah. Try not to be too grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he asked him what his name is, and the boy tells him. It's Davros. And for those people that aren't Who fans, Davros is the future leader / creator of the Daleks.
Yes.
To put it in terms that everyone would understand, he's Space Hitler.
He is Space Hitler. You're absolutely right. Yes.
And the very next thing you see in that episode is the Doctor goes, no, and walks away.
Yeah.
And leaves this young boy trapped in a minefield.
Yeah.
Which is
Left
then
to his fate, basically.
Which is then one of the darkest things I think that you can have. You know, why would any adult leave a young child in that position? But for me, there's this whole moral thing. So if you had the chance, if you encountered the child that you knew was going to go on to be the most ruthless dictator, kill millions of people, and you had the chance to end it there and then, would you? And what the Doctor doesn't do is kill him. He doesn't kill him.
Doesn't save him.
He doesn't save him.
Yeah.
He just leaves him. And that really, that's within the first 4 minutes.
Remind me, what are the ramifications again of him leaving child Davros in that minefield?
So, what happens is later on in the episode, you get the old Davros.
Yes.
Is dying.
Uh-huh.
And he basically demands that the Doctor attends his death.
Okay.
And sends him the sonic screwdriver.
Right.
That he'd been handed as a small child, or thrown as a small child.
Yeah.
As a "you will come."
Yeah. Proof that it's me.
Yeah. This was me.
You.
This is what you did.
Yeah.
And the Doctor, out of guilt, then goes. But Davros, being Davros, has a plan to regenerate himself, to bring himself back, to get some extra time. He's going to try and steal the Doctor's regenerative. I'll say that word in English. Regenerative.
Yes.
Yes. Energy, and bring himself back to his prime. The Doctor says no, but I will give you enough to see the sunrise.
Fair enough, yeah.
Because I think you seeing one more sunrise is fair, and I owe you that. And all hell breaks loose, and so on and so forth.
Do you know what? I had completely and utterly forgotten that was the intro to season 9. Completely.
So it was brilliant, and I don't love the episode because it's Capaldi. I may have alluded to that.
Yeah.
But I love it because throughout that episode it throws back. And it doesn't just throw back to New Who, it throws back.
Way back.
It goes all the way back. So I've made some notes, Benjamin, because I'm prepared, you know. So Clara and Missy, who we've not talked about at all, but let's just assume everybody knows who they are trying to find the Doctor.
Yes.
And they go to Unit, which again, if you don't know who it is, look it up. But they're searching for the Doctor, and Unit plug in an algorithm on a laptop, and it shows locations that they know he's been. And those locations are key episodes from every single series, going all the way back to the very first Doctor.
Nice bit of trivia. I like that.
It shows New York from The Angels Take Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
It shows the place where we were talking about the guy who owns the internet.
Oh yeah.
It shows London. It shows the middle of the ocean, because there are episodes where the Doctor was on Atlantis, because why wouldn't he have been? It shows Pompeii. It shows
everything
it's
basically.
Proper showing this is where the Doctor's been. This is where crises were, and the Doctor was there. So it runs that algorithm. So that's genius. It plays clips in the scene with Davros. Davros is saying, "Look, this was you. This is what you've done," and trying to guilt trip the Doctor into admitting he was bad. And he plays scenes, and there's a scene from the fourth Doctor, which was Tom Baker.
Yes.
Where the Doctor asks Davros, and he says, "If you saw a child that you knew was going to grow up to be the greatest dictator, the most evil man who's going to kill millions, would you not kill him?" And it plays that. So it plays Tom Baker saying it.
Yeah.
Showing Tom Baker saying it.
Yeah. to current.
to the current Doctor. But
current
like,
Doctor,
how
yeah.
well does that fit in?
Well,
it's like
yeah.
they've picked a stream there. Like if we're talking overriding story arcs,
That's
went
that's one, isn't
that
it?
went from series 4, the 4th Doctor, to the 12th. Like it's ridiculous.
That's something that you can say about Moffat as well, is that his knowledge of Doctor Who lore is, unquestionable.
Totally.
It's there.
Totally.
No one knows probably as much as he does.
They show a Dalek, like just a Dalek that's, I was going to say walking around. It's not walking.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. A
Yeah.
Dalek on it's ambling about.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like the blue and silver, the very first type you saw on TV
yes.
in 1963.
God,
they
yeah.
also show, and I made a note of this one as well because I saw
very
it
good.
on it and was like, oh, and I had to look it up again. So it was referred to as the Special Weapons Dalek from a 1988 special.
Oh, okay. Right.
But they showed that and they used the prop. The Special Weapons Dalek prop, which they still had, sat in a BBC lockup somewhere, was wheeled out literally.
Yeah, held together with string and wishes, no
but
doubt.
they used it. So, like the craftsmanship in this episode is just a masterpiece. Nate would like this if Nate knew the history.
Yeah, and a lot of choices here were probably done to try and get fans of previous incarnations of Doctor Who back on board with current Doctor Who,
Yeah,
because it
and-
probably wasn't doing as well as they wanted it to.
No, and as a season opener,
Yeah.
it got the lowest season opening of any.
Oh, did
Doctor.
it really? Wow.
So I think it was 4.8 million people watched it compared to kind of 7, 8 for Tennant most of the season. So it did poorly, but for me, it's of my list. This will surprise you. It's my favourite.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Because
at
of
one
the
point,
lore that
yeah,
goes into
absolutely.
it,
And
yeah,
at one point in I think it's the second part, Capaldi rides into a 13th century village on a tank, wearing sunglasses, playing a guitar,
As
and
you
teaches
do.
them all how to say "dude,"
Yeah.
which is a throwback to Bill and Ted.
Yes. Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? It's stupid, it's bonkers, but actually the moral that runs through it was brilliant. And when you asked me to take part in the pod, that was the very first episode I thought of.
Oh,
that I wanted
really?
to talk about.
Fantastic.
So there you go. Yeah, who would have thought
What were the
Capaldi
names
would be
again?
my
It was.
favourite?
It was.
The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar.
Familiar. Right. Okay. Interesting.
Really worth a watch.
Excellent. Well, consequently, that was your first episodes for Capaldi, or for any of the Doctor Who's that you thought of. My last one is the last episode that I thought of, and I was thinking, right, what's my favourite Capaldi episode?
Okay.
It's from the same season, season 9. It takes place, spoilers for season 9 of Doctor Who that came out in, whatever it was, 2015. This episode takes place directly after Clara dies, I say in inverted commas. It's called Heaven Sent. It takes place on a very strange castle in the sea where the Doctor is imprisoned and he's being constantly stalked by this weird alien thing that is hiding behind a veil called, well, I think it's referred to as the Veil until it gets its actual name, which I think might be something like the Hybrid. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. The entire episode, this is the antithesis of a Doctor Light episode. This is a Doctor focused episode. It's just the Doctor and this alien thing that's stalking him. He runs, it walks, and it's always walking after him. And I think the most time he can get, if this alien tracks him to one side of the castle and he runs to the exact opposite, the most time he gets away from it without having to move again is about 82 minutes. And in that time, he can work on what's going on, why he's trapped there. He can sleep, he can eat, and then he can get on his toes again. And it's absolutely brilliant because it's terrifying. It's written by Stephen Moffat, and it's clever because the Doctor figures out, again, massive spoilers for this episode, that he's been trapped there by someone who is trying to interrogate him. And this veil creature, hybrid creature, whatever you want to call it, only leaves him alone if he tells the truth about something. So when it corners him the first time, he admits, I'm actually very scared here. The creature stops, walks away, and then everything starts again. the thing that you come to realise right at the end of this episode, you remember this episode?
Yep.
Is that he's been trapped there for a long time and he has been killed there thousands of times, but he has this ability to, this teleporter, which isn't really a teleporter, has the ability to copy him, and it just creates another version of him that is still a Time Lord, because all of his molecules are kept in this whatever timey-wimey, sciencey buffer stuff, science stuff, and he just comes back, and then he starts to investigate again, and he eventually starts to figure it out. And he figures out that he's got to break through this glass stuff that's stronger than ice, or stronger than diamonds. I can't remember the exact name of what it is. Doesn't matter. But it's all to do with a nursery rhyme where this same little bird is trying to chip away at a mountainside, and it does it after millions of millions. The Doctor's trapped in this castle for like 4 billion years, eventually chipping away at getting out, getting further and further every time before he's killed, and he has to reset and start again. And it is absolutely brilliant because it is Capaldi at his finest, I think, as Doctor Who, acting his socks off, running away from a terrifying villain, a terrifying monster, going into his, I want to say his mind palace, which is a very Sherlock reference, but going into his own head and talking to himself and explaining to the audience what's going on and working it out for himself. And I just love it. It's my favourite Capaldi episode.
Is that the episode where there's like a load of skulls in a lake?
Yes,
yeah,
they're all his.
And they're all his.
They're
and
all his.
that moment where you realise they're all his, you just...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a horrifying moment, actually, when you realise it. But it is one of the cleverest episodes of Doctor Who I've ever seen.
I'd forgotten about that episode.
Fantastic, right?
That could have easily been on my list.
Oh, there you go. It was on mine.
Yep.
It was on mine. I'm looking at how long we've been recording for. This is getting on to be a solid 2-hour podcast.
Jesus.
I know, right? That is all I have. Is there anything else you want to say about Hellbent?
No.
My favourite Capaldi Doctor Who episode.
No.
Right, let's get on to some listener feedback, because we got quite a bit. I asked a very simple question. Who's your favourite of the new Doctors? Now, of course, we haven't had anything of the 13th Doctor yet.
Nope.
We've seen a couple of trailers. We know she's coming in, is it October this year?
October,
I
maybe?
think it's got a new showrunner who was the guy who, Chris Chibnall. Yeah, he did...
Broadchurch.
That's the one. People Die on a Beach.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. Yeah, it's all, nasty.
Come to Dorset.
That's right, yeah. So Chris Chibnall's the new showrunner. New Doctor, who's a woman, whose name has completely escaped me.
Jodie Whittaker.
That's the one, Jodie Whittaker. She was also in Broadchurch.
Finally.
She's great.
Finally, can I just say, for a pod, for the first time ever, I've been able to give you the answer to the thing that's escaped your head.
I know, right?
Live, in the moment.
It's fantastic. So I asked, who are people's favourite Doctors of the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th? And we had the following feedback. And there's a lot, and I'm going to read it all. Tennant for me, this is from Kelly Louise Priest, which is at Priest_Kelly.
Hello.
She said she wanted to be on this podcast. She said, Tennant for me is top, as he was the most Tom Baker-like of the new Doctors, and Tom Baker is my favourite, and had real gravitas. I felt had a real gravitas I felt worthy of the character, alongside the fun. The amount he loved the role was also joyful to watch. And I feel sad for Capaldi, as he could have been this amazing Pertwee-style Doctor. See, you and Kelly agree a bit. But the writing was just so bad for him. She finishes with the following. But most importantly, number 1, the Tennant is one of the few actors who expresses a complex range of emotions with his hair. Number 2, I should have been a guest on this pod. And number 3, can we get some John Hurt love too, please?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
We didn't mention the War Doctor. He only had one episode.
So
it was the 50th anniversary special, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
There are some audio thingies, whatever those things are called. You know, audio shows, basically.
Podcasts?
No.
Okay, fine.
Like shows,
Right.
like The Archers.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, audio plays.
Yeah. That are about the War Doctor.
And who is voicing the War Doctor?
Can't
Can't be John Hurt.
No, I think...
Because he dead.
Yeah, he is. Very sad. I can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
But apparently they're brilliant and everyone should listen to them.
Oh, maybe I will. Anyway, thank you very much, Kelly. I did offer Kelly to come along tonight or record something to send in, but she sent us a tweet, and I've said that maybe she can come on a response episode to this podcast because she might want to, if we do something like this again with Nate, maybe.
I'm sure she will tweet and tell us we're idiots.
I'm sure she will. Seb Reeves, which is at the real Mr. Seb, they all had something likeable about them, but for me, #David Tennant was the Doctor. He owned the role and was almost a match for my favourites, Peter Davison and Tom Baker. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be a lot of David Tennant love in this, but not all David Tennant love. Ken Major, who is a massive Doctor Who fan, that's at Ken Major 83, he said, and I love him for this, Matt Smith, childlike at times, whilst feeling the weight of the universe on his shoulders, 11 had echoes of the Second Doctor. Love that. Second Doctor was the cosmic hobo, right? Yeah.
That's Troughton. So,
yes,
like I said.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I'd just like to point out everybody agrees with me, Ben. Which means they've probably picked the same episodes as me.
He's a very physical Doctor, isn't he? In the way he moves and he's always on the move. I loved it. I love Matt Smith. He's great. He's really good. 20th Century Geek Pod, which is at 20th Century Geek, said David Tennant is my new era Doctor. He nailed the essence of the role and added so much emotion and depth, some dark, to the character. A great run. Yeah, fantastic. And Geek to Me Radio, which is at Geek to Me Radio, I go with 10, followed closely by 12.
What?
I know, right? 10 had a wide array of companions, and I just relate more to his incarnation of the Doctor. But 12's last season with Bill was extraordinary.
It was a very good season.
It's his best season, I think. I think his Doctor could have been better if most of his early episodes weren't written for Clara. I agree with that, and I hadn't even realised that was what was wrong with his Doctor until he said that. So, yeah. Kudos, well done.
Yeah, the Doctor said it.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Hang on. We Have a Hulk have got themselves tied up here, or I've got myself tied up. So We Have a Hulk, which is at We Have a Hulk Pod, said, got to be Tennant. He was just so charismatic, and I absolutely adored his energy. But by George, did he bring emotion to the show too. I can't hear, I don't want to go, and not well up a little now. Thanks, Tennant. Also very fond of Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. But a shame that the writing for Capaldi's Doctor was only strong towards the end of his run. Spent way too much time focusing on Clara, if you ask me. Again, there's that again. Right. Jack and the Geeks Talk said it's for Sammy to answer, and she said, bear me 1 second, it's a tough one, but Tennant. He was the one that made me feel the same nostalgic love for the newer series that I had for the original Doctor Who when I could watch reruns on Sunday mornings with my dad. Plus, not many people can make me cry with just 4 words, I don't want to go. Which is... Yeah. Again, his final episodes, his final scenes are so upsetting. But there you go. He didn't regenerate, he died.
Yeah.
There you go. Right, here we go here. Some idiot called Nate, which is at Nate_Nerdchat, said
Never heard of him.
Eccles Cake brought a seriousness I respect. High-end cheap TV, quality acting. Yes, acting. Now, I'm going to say at this point that I don't believe that Nate has watched anyone else play the new Doctor Who other than Christopher Eccleston. So technically, I guess he should be banned.
Yeah,
we'll let it go. There were more replies, but for whatever reason, they're not loading on Twitter right now, which is really frustrating. So I'm going to look in one more place, and if it doesn't work there, then I'm going to read one reply we got from Instagram, and then I'm going to wrap it up, Dave.
That sounds sensible.
Right, bear with 1 moment. Just talk amongst yourselves.
I'm just going to say then that Troughton, when he was introduced, had a Beatles haircut to try and appeal to the youth.
Youth.
And then when the youth.
Okay.
And then when Matt Smith was introduced, he was very much a One Direction haircut.
And
I don't think that's a coincidence.
Oh, very good. I like that. That is very good. Right, it's loaded up. Here we go. Geeky Nerd, which is at one Geeky Nerd, said, I can't decide between 10 and 11. Sorry, I love their quirks and mannerisms. Plus, bow ties are cool, man. They are cool. Celery Legs, lightning flash symbol, which is O Celery Legs, said, love them all, but Peter Capaldi is my favourite for his towering solo acting masterclass in Heaven Sent Alone. That's right, Heaven Sent. I see the performance he's giving between the lines of every script, regardless of what's going on around him. Layered, subtle, time-lordy brilliance. I love it.
Yeah, fair play.
Charles Hartford, which is at Gattuso083, said, Eccleston, number 9, the emotional journey of refunding his confidence with Rose. I think that might be refinding, but he said refunding. It's okay.
Cash back.
With Rose, after the Time War, is one I will never forget. He was just fantastic. Just fantastic. I saw what he did there. Neo Bryce, which is at Neo_Bryce, said, I love Eccleston. He was the grit and the hope of a post-Time War Doctor, and you really buy that he's been through so much. I wish he had more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, on Instagram, we had... Just loading it up right now.
Ben's using a wind-up phone.
I am. I do beg your pardon. Sunny by Night, she said, Tennant and Smith. Eccleston was too serious for me. Capaldi was too theatrical. Tennant and Smith were the most quirky yet intriguing for me. I'm looking forward to see what our new Lady Doctor has to show.
Indeed.
Smiley face. That's it. I think that's pretty much all the feedback that I can find. This has been a really long podcast.
Yeah.
It's your first one, though.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Like I spoke for too much.
Nah, you're fine. That was our first ever Doctor Who podcast. I'm really pleased we've done it. If this episode gets some good feedback, which I'm pretty sure it will, we'll try and do another one. And we'll try and get Kelly on board as well.
Yeah, why not?
And we'll try and get Nick to watch Blood.
Where is Kelly?
She is around here.
Okay, like she's not in Belgium or something.
No.
We're not paying flights for people to come. Cool.
No.
I mean, you can pay for flights.
She is someone local to where you and I live in the world.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough.
That is the podcast for this week. I am away next week, but Nate and James are back.
Excellent.
Sorry, I say James. I mean either James or JB. That's his name now. So they'll be recording something next week. I've got no idea what. Unless, of course, they don't do it because they're too busy, and then in which case we'll be back the week after that. You can find this podcast on iTunes and what's the other thing that I subscribe to, which isn't iTunes? Spotify, that's the one. I'm tired. You can also find this podcast on YouTube. You can follow us on social media on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Nerdschatting. You can send us an email, which is nerdschatting@outlook.com. You can check out our blog, which is nerdschatting.com. You could buy a T-shirt of our face on it if you want. Not Dave's face because he's not that cool, but with the Nerdschatting logo on it. If you go to, just click the link in the episode description. That's about it, I think.
There you go.
That's it. We've done it. Well done, Dave. Your
Thanks,
first
Ben.
point. Oh, shake your hand.
Yes, that makes good radio.
Well done. Right, like I said, Nate and James will be back next week. I'll be back the week after. Thanks very much for tuning in, everyone. I've been Ben. You've been Dave.